Hello again, and welcome to the Master's Voice. I am Celestial, and you are welcome to this channel. To old and new subscribers alike, you are very welcome. The Master's Voice is an audio and a visual resource, this being the main channel. However, there are multiple backup channels that you can find at Rumble, BitChute, and Brighteon. You can also find the Master's Voice Prophecy blog, the written blog, at www.the-masters-voice.com. I have an Instagram, a TikTok, a Facebook, a Twitter, a Telegram, and if you're new to the Master's Voice, you can find quite a lot of my short form content on those, but I strongly recommend that you spend and invest your time here on the video channel, working in tandem with the main blog. If you are one who wants to increase their understanding in spiritual matters, if you want to increase your understanding in prophetic matters, what is sitting on God's heart at this particular moment in time, at this dispensation in Christianity, that Christianity is being grossly misrepresented the world over. It is being improperly practiced. And at this time, the Lord Jesus has raised up a place where his voice is coming forth with truth and with strength to prepare his people for the times that he knows are rushing up to meet them. And this prophecy that I have from the Lord today is from November the 18th. It is a continuation of a series of prophecies that Jesus has been giving me since the year 2020. 2020, I think, is the earliest that I started to talk about this topic. This topic directly impacts women. So please hear me when I say that this topic impacts women, but it involves men. It is very necessary, if you're a female listening to this, that you don't click off, you pay attention, you don't dismiss this. And no matter what you do, please do not get caught up in your feminist ideologies, the feminist ideologies that have greatly taken hold of the minds of millions and millions and hundreds of millions of women, such that their grasp and their apprehension of things that directly impact them, things that affect them and affect them negatively, I might add, are sometimes lost in a much louder and sometimes completely unnecessary conversation. The conversation of, but what about what I feel and what about my rights? There are times coming to this earth, ladies, where when you end up in that situation, and it is unfortunate that many millions of women, young women, old women, little girls, and even babies are ending up in the situation that the Lord has sent me to yet again speak about. When you are placed in a position like that, you will find that all your high-minded ideals, all the conversations that when your hair is done and your nails are done and you're sitting in the fancy places, that's what you want to talk about with your girlfriends. That's what you want to talk about on social media. That's what you want to argue about on Facebook chat and TikTok chat. When you, the solo individual, end up in a situation like that, you will find that you will not have the taste for feminism in your mouth anymore. You will find that empty discussions do nothing for you when your back is against the wall. When your back is against the wall as a female, that is when you will understand that men and women are not the same. Right now, you're walking around and you're imbibing nothing but lies. You're imbibing ideology that tells you, oh, a woman can do everything that a man can do, which is not the truth. Even if we have 10 women who know how to change their tire, change their oil, the greater mass of men know how to do that just as lockstep. They know how to do it just as part of who a man is. So if you live your life drinking from a sewage pipe that tells you you're the same as a man, there's no difference between men and women. You're imbibing ideology. I use the word imbibe because that's the word we use when you're getting drunk. When they say, oh, she's been imbibing, he's been imbibing, it means that you've been getting drunk. You've been getting high. When you get drunk, what happens? You lose your balance. When you get drunk, you lose your focus. When you get drunk, you are taken leave of your senses momentarily, and you can say things and do things that have nothing to do with real life on the ground. In the same way, millions of women around the world have been imbibing an ideology that is leaving them ill prepared to make wise decisions in their lives, in their dating lives. They're making unwise decisions in their marriage lives. They're making unwise decisions within their homes, single or married. And the times that God is telling us that are coming are not going to be kind to the female. You need to understand this right up. You need to understand that when Celestial is sitting here and Celestial's prophesying about times of lack, Celestial's prophesying about times of hunger, she's prophesying about times of famine, she's prophesying about times when the government is no longer going to be as orderly as it's supposed to be. It's no longer going to be as legal as it's supposed to be. It's going to be suffering breakdown in essential services. And one of those essential services is the police, is the firemen, is the rescue services. When you can't get cops, when you can't get fire services, when you can't get rescue services, EMS, and that kind of thing to come to you, and you are facing terrible situations like floods and famines and tsunamis, and you're facing earthquakes, I'm actually describing structural danger. I'm describing environmental danger. And when it comes to structural danger, when it comes to environmental danger, and in this prophecy, social danger, the people who always suffer the brunt of it is the very young, children, the vulnerable, that's the old, and women. The title of this prophecy, I really couldn't understand why God was naming the prophecy that, because he usually will give them these very effective names. The Holy Spirit is the one who provides every picture that you see me putting on the blog. He's the one that provides all the pictures, the thumbnails. I will look and look and look until I see the one that the Spirit is connecting with, and then that's the one I pick. He's the one who gives these prophecies the titles. So when he gave me the title, I just felt this title is a little bit, it seems not to match the prophecy, God. But then just when I was about to start, I said, you know, Lord, when I start the prophecy, I'm going to actually say the name. I always say the name of this prophecy is, and I give the date. Are you sure you want to name the prophecy this? And he said, that is the name of the message. I, Celestial, am here as a woman, and I'm speaking to you as a prophet of the Lord, and I'm bringing forth a message that what I'm talking about is going to be happening. It may be happening on a smaller scale, but I need you to understand before I even start, I'm talking about something that is going to magnify the things that I'm going to speak about and the warnings of the Lord. Yah says it's going to magnify to the point that it will be hard to have sympathy for someone. And the reason he said it will be hard to have sympathy for someone is because the person who will be listening to the story either will have gone through it herself, or the man would have gone through it with his wife. He would have gone through it with his sister. He would have gone through it with his girlfriend. It will be so commonplace that if it happens to person A and person A wants to confide in person B might be incapable of deep sympathy, because person B will also be recovering from that thing, or person B's sister or mother or daughter will be recovering from that thing. He said that sympathy for it will start to diminish because that's how common it will be.
Can you please stand if you know of someone who has experienced sexual assault, whether it be a friend, a family member, coworker, or even yourself? Wow. Take a look around. Now, the second question I have for you. If you know that that person reported their assault, please stay standing. If to your knowledge they did not report their assault, you can please quietly sit down. Ooh. It's bringing tears to my eyes, y'all. Third and final question for those of you still standing. If the perpetrator received any kind of punishment or justice, will you please stay standing? If to your knowledge they did not, will you please quietly sit down? Thank you. May take a seat.
So let us begin. The title of this prophecy is Safety First. Safety first. You hear about safety first, immediately you think of when you get into a car, we're about to get into the car to, go to work, and you just got your license and you just got your car. Usually one of your parents, if you're still living at home, will stand on the porch, and they're watching you, and they're realizing that this is a watershed moment. They're about to let you take the car now and go out. You've got a license, you're a proper adult, so-called, you can drive, but they can't resist as you put the car in reverse and you start to move. They can't resist calling out, safety first, because they now know that they're disconnecting from you, and they have to trust that you know what you are doing. The phrase safety first, please listen, is a phrase that we use that transfers responsibility to the one who is hearing the phrase being said to them. The parent on the porch is not the one who is responsible for safety first. It's the person in the vehicle who is now going out to interact with other vehicles and hopefully, we pray, reach their destination safely. The problem with safety first is that you will say it the first few times and then the parent has to trust that you've got it. They're not going to come on the porch and say safety first every time you leave. A wife will not stand on the porch and say safety first every time her husband is going on a long haul oil rig or trucker drive for his job. Safety first is supposed to, over time, become an ingrained posture inside the one who needs to be responsible for themselves. This prophecy is about the brutality of rape and where it is going to get. I don't usually give trigger warnings here, but I was praying and I was saying to the Lord, Father God, you know that this prophecy is going to touch a lot of hearts in painful places because there are millions of women around the world and men who have already suffered the indignity and the violence of rape. Therefore, I urge that if you are in that situation, if this has become a reality in your life already, please try to listen with an open heart. God's posture is trying to reach those who are very stubborn-hearted. He's trying to reach the good time girls of America, of which there are millions and millions and millions. They're starting as young as 13 and 14 in this highly sexualized lifestyle. God is trying to reach whoever has an ear to hear and whoever has a mind to understand and realize that we are in the end times and you are going to have to let certain things go so that you can become a woman who practices safety first, so that you can become a man. I'm not going to use words like, oh, you need to be an ally. You need to be what you were created to be, which is a protector. You need to be what God created you to be, which is a man who learns early how to bridle his own desires, so that you are not one of those that these spirits will enter into, making you a perpetrator of rape, making you a breaker of the wall that is called safety first.
Oh, no. 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 Okay, that's it. No. Okay, okay. Oh, no. 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 Okay, that's it. No. Okay, okay.
It's getting dangerous. The outpouring of violence is coming along with what we would normally just call statistical crime. It's becoming increasingly bloody. It's becoming increasingly murderous. So much so that I have gone to God and said, Father, what of this? What of this? Father, what can we do about this? It's ending in death the majority of time. It's not ending in she and the children made it to the shelter. It's ending in tonight. A community in so and so is shattered as a man killed his entire family. If you cannot see what I told you, I said this in just before we entered 2023. There are two prophecies in which I said Satan is going for broke. One of them is called the devil is outworking the saints. But there it was saying that the saints of God are not rising up to meet the challenge of the changing spiritual environment that they find. But the second one, I said that Satan is requiring greater and greater sacrifices. Those who represent him, whether it's fake pastors, Illuminati pastors, whether it's the entertainers and the human sacrifice, whether it's the politics, the politicians and the satanic rituals that they need to. I said, Satan is requiring greater sacrifices on all ends. But then if you look at prophecies like A People of Madness, part 1 and part 2, if you look at prophecies that teach about how demons enter people and completely use them Just the way your hand in a sock puppet, your hand in a glove, just moves the glove. However, that is how demons are entering these people. That is what happened in South Africa, in Limpopo province. If you guys didn't understand what happened there, I'm telling you, that's what happened. It was the same spirit. It was the same demon. After it had finished using the first guy like a sleeve and he hung himself, I was telling the intercessors on the line, I was like, who can tell me what good is a dead human body for a demon? When the demon gets in from your drug habit, when the demon gets in because you can get drunk enough for something bigger than usually the spirit of drunkenness. Something bigger can come in when you push past certain limits. When you use drugs to the point, when you are on cigarettes, you will always go to weed. And when you're on weed, you will always start to want something else. I said, what good is a human body hanging on a tree? Can anyone tell me what's the demon's next play? Because Satan is always about the next play. So when I've now gotten a woman is dead, a man is hanging in a tree, as the demon, what's the next play? The next play is fresh grounds. That's why the crime happened within 2 days in the same region. It simply moved into a new man. And you will find that there will be more of those things coming. What will happen, I've already shared, is that people will start to look at it at a natural, oh no, the rape is increasing. Oh, you know, the domestic violence. I think they call it something else in Africa. I've seen it. Gender-based violence. That's what I've seen people writing in my comments. GBV. It's all the same thing. Rape statistics in India, same thing. It's increasing because sin has stretched the dimensions that separate us from these beings too much. That's why you're seeing that the end game is not, he knocked her around like in the 60s. He punched her around a little bit and then she had a black eye and she said, I hate you, Jimmy. And she took her little suitcase and she ran away to Hollywood to become a star. It's not like that anymore. It's ending in coffins. It's ending in caskets. It's ending in this ABC guy with the swoopy hair constantly on my TikTok feed. That's what it's ending in. And there's a reason for that. Christians, wake up. You are not exempt from anything. You are not exempt from any pain, any hurt. Time and circumstance, time and chance happen to them all. Therefore, wisdom and precaution, especially if you are the first level where it's not necessary. You're not a mother. You're not a father. You're just young and you're single, but you're out abusing substances. You're out abusing alcohol. Then someone takes advantage of you. You wake up with familiar pain. You wake up with pain in your private parts. All the rape kits you file will not change the fact that you have been raped. Do you know that? Do you know that? Don't just say, yes, Celestia, I get, sit and let it sink into the layer where change comes. Do you actually know that? It only takes a moment to defile or despoil a child, a 14-year-old girl, a 9-year-old little boy. It only takes a moment. A couple just learned that. They dressed up their 3-year-old and they were going to make a run outside. And then they noticed, we forgot this for her diaper bag, or we forgot this. And for some insane reason, both of them go inside the house. The girl's already in her car seat. She's already strapped in. She's already everything. Mom and dad decide to step in the house for a moment to get an object and come back, and a strange man has put himself in the back of the car and has taken all the little girl's clothes off and his bottoms are off. You're asking, how long did they stay in the house? This is the nonsense that was in the comment section. But then how long were they in the house precisely? Because this story isn't making sense. People who have that kind of conversation, I've already said what God is going to do with those people. Forensic detectives, those who cannot understand information put forward, and they think that this type of heinous stuff is tough to troll with, it's tough to laugh with. Under the South African murders, people were saying, well, I think I understand the guy. He was frustrated. We're talking about murder and the South African men, and quite a few women are in the comments and saying, but what had she done before he killed her? What had she done? Because, you know, the guy didn't stick around long enough to give us his point of view. So what had she done? What did she do to get herself killed? People who do that, the thing that the murderer didn't get, you that are still alive with a mouth like that, it will obviously be your end.
Hey.
He's trying to rape me. Can you help?
Get off her now.
Help me.
Get off her now.
Give us a channel.
Thank God. Thank you.
Don't you fucking move. Don't you fucking move.
Come here, you. Come here. You're good.
The suspect in this case is Luis Hernandez Maneo. Rape of a 12-year-old girl.
The 17-year-old is accused of stealing a car while the girl was sleeping inside.
The car thief and sexual assault suspect was taken into custody. Police say it was a 17-year-old at the center of Friday's disturbing missing child case.
The 25th district will be a found in abduction. Taken was an off-white Ford Taurus. There is a juvenile in the rear of the vehicle.
It all began around 9:30 Friday evening. The Ford Taurus was left running with the keys still in the ignition along Germantown and Erie Avenues. The 12-year-old was sleeping in the back seat when police say the suspect stole it. The frantic search for the girl lasted nearly 30 minutes.
Our brave survivor was located at Broad Street and Roosevelt Boulevard.
Investigators say before being dropped off, she was raped by the car thief. The car was later recovered in West Philadelphia along 54th and Poplar Streets.
I pushed him. I said, bro, what the F are you doing? Get away from me. Stop trying to touch me. Whenever he was at the door, I buzzed him in and he came inside. My thought process was it was just another dude coming in to work out. So I didn't think of anything out of that. He started chasing me around the bench and we ended up on the other side of the gym.
I've seen this story going around social media. A man in Florida raped a woman after a car accident instead of taking her to the hospital, and people are shocked, but I need women to know this is not an anomaly. This is a pattern. In Virginia, a man pulled a woman out of a crash and into a roadside ditch where he raped her for hours while she begged to be taken to the hospital. In Ohio, a woman drove home after her accident and asked her boyfriend to take her to the hospital, but he was so pissed about the accident, he cleared the apartment of all his friends and assaulted her. In Maryland, a man pulled the woman out of the crashed car and put her into his car where he raped her twice. I found 4 cases in a super quick Google search and all but one of them happened in the last 2 years.
Men are becoming sexually violent at younger and younger ages. This is the second time in a month that I've come across a news story where a teen boy not only sexually assaulted a minor, but a male minor.
Disturbing allegations against an Orange County teen accused of snatching a child off the street. That suspect has been behind bars since Monday after the weekend incident in Westminster.
Police say this was a stranger abduction and sexual assault, and that one of the reasons they were able to make an arrest is that they found surveillance video that appeared to show the suspect with his 8-year-old victim.
Look at them. Look at him. He got his dick out. No, show it. Show it. Look at him. Sure. You in the kids section. Just you ain't looking at you at the girls. Look at you.
I got daughters. What are you talking about?
That you can be the 3-year-old in the back of the car seat. That it only takes 2 minutes for someone to pull his pants bottom down and change your whole life forever. Unnecessarily. Why? Because you are not in any situation that was trapping you in the house with someone like that. You have your own apartment in Manhattan. You have your own apartment in Cape Town. You have your own apartment in the heart of Delhi, in the rich area, whatever. You don't necessarily need to be at parties and in places where people are freely sharing drugs and freely sharing this and that. But for the want of being outside, for the drive of being outside, something catches you.
So the first time I was raped, wild that women can just say sentences like that because it's so normal. So the first time that it happened to me, my boyfriend's best friend slipped something in my drink at their frat's party. Only the girls' wine was spiked. Convenient, right?
That is one of the most inconvenienced phase of my life.
I know this will not sit well with a lot of people, but I'm still going to say it. As much as you are trying to curtail rape in the society, it is expected that as a man or as a woman, you should be conscious of your environment. Not all environments are sane, 100% sane. There's some particular environments that even when you're fully clothed, you should still be watchful and careful. Every of your video has this similar content of you wearing some certain dresses and some man passes behind you and you just say, in this kind of, I feel scared, I feel hello. You are scared, but you are still setting yourself up. You don't feel safe in an environment. It's not for you to protect yourself and take care of yourself, but instead you are setting yourself up by dressing some certain ways. Some things are clearly avoidable. I don't want to hear justice for anybody. I don't want to hear it. I don't care if it doesn't sit well with you and you say, I have a right to dress however I like. If you don't take care of yourself and you think Nigeria will come true for you, you are on your own. So it's better you wise up. Anything that you can do to avoid trouble, to avoid justice for me, justice for anybody, avoid it at all costs. Don't do it at all costs.
Meanwhile, other people are in marriages that are starting to show signs of wear and tear. Be careful, women. Domestic violence is a fact of life. It is not a probability. It is not a maybe. It's happening every single minute, every single hour around the world. As I am speaking, I have no idea how many people have been raped by their cousin, raped by their neighbor, raped by someone that they're in a fiduciary relationship with, meaning someone that you trust, your gymnastics coach, your football coach, young man, putting roofies in your drink. Come closer, kid. I want to mentor you. Let an old man give you some wisdom. Then you wake up feeling horrible. You can't report. He's too famous. He's too well known. He used to coach for the Dolphins and now he's at your high school. Yes, he's still a predator. He's still a rapist. You trusted him and now he's changed your life for the worse. And in your heart, you should be wise enough to know he's already done it to a ton of other boys that came down the pipeline before you became a football player.
When Oscar Omar Hernandez was found murdered in Oxnard April 2nd, allegedly at the hands of his soccer coach, many were left asking how this was allowed to happen. No one more so than this young man.
I thought it could have been me. I thought, why couldn't the police do anything about my case? And they just left it open. And then it had to get to a teenage boy getting killed.
They suspected the boy's coach, who was with Oscar when the 13-year-old disappeared this weekend. Now, police confirmed they're interviewing the man, who brings kids to play at these fields just about every weekend, according to players who do not want to be identified. Yet, the soccer league the boy belonged to is not registered with any official organization. But when his older brother tried calling him on his cell phone this weekend, coach answered, saying, "Your brother can't come to the phone." Then the phone went dead.
LAPD detectives tracked down that coach Wednesday, questioned him about the death of the 13-year-old, and booked the coach on a warrant for an unrelated attack. Court records we found show 43-year-old Mario Edgardo Garcia Aquino is now facing a single count of assault with intent to commit another felony. According to the arrest warrant filed on Tuesday or Wednesday, that other felony was the attempted rape of a man.
Speaking with the permission of his mother, the San Fernando Valley teen who's asking us to call him John because of what he's about to share. He's 17 now, but he was 15 when he says he met Mario Garcia Aquino.
He would buy us food, drinks.
John says Garcia Aquino was also his soccer coach. He says the man befriended kids on the team, and he became close with them. That's when John was having hard times with his family, and he says Garcia Aquino offered him work. And at age 16, he went to live with Garcia Aquino and his son. He says the coach offered him drinks, but he never thought much of it.
It was an orange juice, and it made me feel tired after a while.
NBC has not verified what, if anything, was in those drinks. But in February of 2024, about a year and a half after moving in with Garcia Aquino, John says he woke up to find the coach
pulling down my shorts, and I woke up, I punched him, and then he told me it was all a joke. I go to sleep, I see him like trying to pull down my shorts again. And it was like 1 a.m, so I was freaking out. I didn't know what to do. I saw my shorts on backwards.
John called 911 and his mother. The sheriff's deputy sent John to the hospital. He showed us the discharge paperwork showing the emergency room doctor diagnosis of sexual assault of an adolescent, positive urine screen for an unspecified drug, and toxic encephalopathy, meaning an impaired brain function. But John says he's unaware of the law enforcement investigation going any further than that.
They called me speaking about it, but they just said that it was most likely going to be an open case.
Authorities eventually arrested Garcia Aquino for this crime, more than 1 year after John reported the assault, a year in which the 43-year-old Garcia Aquino continued to coach boys soccer.
You used emotional and psychological manipulation of these minor girls for your own sexual satisfaction. That's really what it is.
Nearly 9 months after Chad Kendall was arrested for sexually abusing 2 teenage students, he appeared in court for sentencing. The 37-year-old former teacher accepted a deal in April, pleading guilty to 6 counts of sexual battery in exchange for a recommended sentence of 8 years. But today, Kendall's victims had the chance to share their stories.
I remember fear, confusion, and ultimate betrayal.
Kelsey Dennis is a victim advocate, and she read one of the 2 victims' statements.
I was 16 the first time Chad Kendall asked me to send him an explicit image. He frequently used guilt manipulation when I expressed discomfort or unwillingness, often by threatening to humiliate or embarrass me in front of the class if I did not comply with his demands.
The victim, describing the relationship escalating and how Kendall isolated and groomed her.
I remember Chad Kendall asking me to leave class to tend to his emotional and physical needs.
Soccer coach accused of drugging and raping at least 10 children.
When we got to these soccer fields off Glass Lane, we didn't come to watch these men play. Does this guy look familiar to you? We wanted to find out about a man who once did. Do you know who that is? We showed people at this tournament this picture. It's 63-year-old Camilo Hurtado Campos.
Disturbing videos and pictures on Camilo Campos' phone after he left it at the Marco's Pizza restaurant on Mallory Lane. An employee there went through the phone to try to identify its owner. That employee contacted police.
Police say detectives found hundreds of videos and photos on his phone raping at least 10 unconscious boys between 9 and 17 years old.
According to investigators, the alleged victim told Miami-Dade Sheriff's detective she first got to know this man, 33-year-old Horacio Nakashima, after attending one of his orchestra performances he invited her to February of this year. She says the two began privately texting, and over time, he became someone she viewed as a father figure. Eventually, detectives say the conversations turned into meetings outside of school. Nakashima most recently worked as the music director at Palm Glades Preparatory Academy. His previous teaching positions included schools in Hialeah and Coral Gables, and he is a well-known violinist. On Tuesday, the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office, on a warrant, arrested him, charging him with 3 counts of lewd and lascivious battery by an authority figure.
A ballet teacher who sexually assaulted 2 girls, aged 8 and 9, and recorded the abuse has been sentenced to 8 years imprisonment. Leighton Morrison, a 49-year-old man with an address of Woodfield, Tuam, County Galway, ran a ballet school in multiple venues in the west of Ireland. The 6 offences he pleaded guilty to against 2 girls occurred in 2023 and 2024. His sentencing hearing heard he isolated both girls in the changing room of one venue when the abuse occurred. Morrison, a classically trained ballet dancer, who performed at a high level internationally in his youth, dressed both children in revealing ballet costumes he brought with him to the class he was teaching. Morrison, who is originally from the UK, has been assessed as a high-risk paedophile who poses a threat to young girls for the rest of his life, Castlebar Circuit Court has heard. The abuse became known initially after one girl revealed what happened in the immediate aftermath. The court heard that just weeks before, her school had taught a Stay Safe programme, and this motivated her to disclose what had befallen her. Gardaí formed the view there was an immediate child safety risk, as Morrison was still teaching upwards on 200 children ballet.
In Cleveland, Ohio, Terrence was a notable dance instructor for 20 years, but he was charged with over 70 crimes after sexually abusing numerous victims at multiple schools. Some even contracted HIV.
You have a lost soul, and the devil took over you.
I've been angry because I was supposed to be there to protect my son, my baby, my child.
A lawsuit led to a $3.25 million settlement after the school failed to investigate past complaints. Documents showed that the school allowed him to share hotel rooms with students on class trips. Terrence Green was found guilty by a jury of his peers. During sentencing, he claimed to be a giver who's not one to harm anyone, but the judge disagreed. Terrence Green was sentenced to 365 years in prison. His wicked waltz is over, but are your children in better hands?
You have to say something. You have to say something. It's going to happen. Probability set 100K. Are you going to minimize it to 10? By getting your rape whistle, by getting your mace, if it's legal where you live. You live in the house, you're taking a shower, you're coming out in a towel. For what? For what? You are the daughter. Why are you coming out in a towel? You're 19, you don't know that your body looks different from the time you were 4? What are you coming outside and walking in the hallway in a towel for? It's not even about, oh no, it's my dad. Did you hear a word I said so far? Did you hear a word I said?
On December 22nd, 2025, my 18-year-old cousin, Michaela Renee Settles, took her own life in her home in Raleigh, North Carolina. This was only 5 months after her biological father, Stephen Vincent Chavez, brutally violated her in his home in Moorpark, California. And I'm saying it like that so this video doesn't get taken down. But think about the worst thing a father could do to his daughter. He did that. He did that and more. He crushed her, and in that moment, he ended her life. It had always been Michaela's dream to move to California, so when she turned 18 and she graduated from high school, she decided that she was going to move in with her biological father and go to Moorpark College. And it worked out perfectly because he lived down the street, and he said he was going to pay for her tuition. He said he was going to teach her how to trade, and she was really excited to learn and to grow and be successful here in Cali. Not even 2 days after she moved in with this man, we received a phone call on July 21st, 2025. Michaela called my aunt crying. She said, "Mommy, can you please come pick me up?" Didn't say anything else. Of course, my aunt rushed over to her. And in the car, she told my aunt that her biological father, Stephen Vincent Chavez, got her drunk and brutally violated her for 4 hours that night. She couldn't even walk from the trauma and the pain that he caused her body. So my dad carried her into the hospital. And from that moment forward, we thought we did everything right. They did a rape kit. His DNA was found inside of his daughter. Inside of his daughter. The police came. She gave her statement. And then we went to a safe house where investigators met us, and she gave her statement again. Not only do we have evidence that he violated his own daughter, we also have evidence that Michaela took her own life because of it. In those months after, she left notes talking about how she couldn't stop thinking about what he did to her and how she was left wondering why he thought it was okay to do that.
These men will give you HIV. New York City is #1 for HIV in the country as of December 2024. Second, California. Third, Atlanta. Who cares about the rest? Your husband is out there with 4 men. Some of you know your husband is gay. You're still sitting there. I'm very angry. So apparently you're not angry enough. You're not angry enough, man.
So why did you take her from my knees?
That is a man whose pregnant wife had just been shot in the head while she slept. He played the grieving husband on camera and held her body in his arms. But what he did the night before will change how you hear the word husband forever. Before we get into it, look at this woman. Now look at her husband, the same man, sitting in a car not knowing he is being recorded, making sure his secret stays buried. Today we are looking at 3 women who loved hard, gave everything, and built something out of nothing, and the 3 men they married who decided to end them. None of these were crimes of the moment. Each one was a choice. And when you understand why these men chose the way they did, you start to see the same pattern repeating itself again and again. So let us start at the beginning, with the pastor's son who turned a family haircut into a murder scene. Everybody in West Palm Beach knew Yuri Jenkins as the handsome pastor's son, the charming barber who grew up in church. He met Makeva on New Year's Eve back in 2009 at a church celebration when he was 23 and she was about 25. They started dating, had kids together, and got married in a small church ceremony where her own brother walked her down the aisle. What made Makeva special was her grit. She and her family had been homeless and evicted back in 2013, and instead of folding, she started a business right there in the middle of that hardship. She told the whole story herself. She built that company up to multiple 6 figures while raising 3 young kids, and she carried the household while Yuri cut hair out of the family garage. She was the breadwinner, and she even made him vice president of her company. On paper, they looked like a power couple, and just days before she died, she was still posting love about him online. But behind the church smile, the marriage was rotting. A few years in, Makeva found out Yuri had been creeping and had fathered a child with another woman, a betrayal her brother said just broke her heart. On top of the cheating, Yuri owed nearly $20,000 in back child support to that other woman, and Makeva had been the one helping him pay it down. So picture this setup here, because it tells you everything. This is a man being carried by his wife financially, emotionally, and even professionally, while quietly resenting her for it the whole time. She had grown bigger than him in every way that he could measure himself, and instead of rising with her, he started looking for a way out that left him holding the bag. In May of 2017, Makeva had actually filed for divorce, but then she found out she was pregnant again, so she pulled the paperwork and gave him one more chance. She still loved him, and days before her death she was online speaking nothing but good about him. He was not thinking about second chances though. He was thinking about money, and that resentment had already turned into a plan.
I was seeing men who were so manipulative. I was seeing men who were so greedy. I was seeing men who were so evil that God was just showing me in a series of dreams, women losing everything that they had, women that had worked hard, they had saved up, maybe they bought a little silver, bought a little gold. They were burgled by the men that they were living with. One memorable one that I saw was a man had all of a woman's paperwork. He had a lot of paperwork concerning her, and he had it like this. He had it like this, and he was shaking in front of her with so much anger. And these papers represented all this woman's material wealth. The papers represented everything that she owned, and particularly among that papers was those papers was a business that this woman had built up from scratch. She had built it up herself. She had built it up from nothing, and it wasn't those kind of business where you sit and you have a headset and you do Wall Street or you do Forex. or you do real estate and whatever. It was the kind of business that actually required this woman to do bread and butter work, like, you know, like having a diner, okay, having a diner, or maybe owning a tire change business where her dad had taught her and she'd been able to work. It was definitely a business that required this woman to have been present for many years of her life, working and building this business. And she had employees and everything. And somehow this man was threatening this woman. He had gotten hold of bank statements, I don't know, money, assets, everything. He had gotten hold of all of her paperwork, and he was holding it in front of her, and he was telling her that he was going to take it. He was telling her that he was going to take it. He was telling her that there was nothing she could do about it. He was telling her that if she told anyone, he was going to kill her. And the way God had the woman represented is the majority of the picture that I was seeing was the man holding those papers, and the woman so small, and she just seemed to be all eyes. She was so intimidated and so afraid of him that she just seemed to be all eyes. And the reason that this dream came back to me sharply is because there was a case that was trending of a black lady that started a small chicken business in her backyard, and then the chicken was so good that everybody started wanting that chicken. Everybody started gathering around. Everybody started being supportive, and her entire business just went bankrupt. I think less than 60 days ago, she had to file for complete and total bankruptcy because of the man that she left in her life. She let in her life. You take one look at the man and you can see one of his eyes says dead and the other one says beat. A total deadbeat. It doesn't matter how well a man dresses. It doesn't matter how well a man speaks or presents himself. There is a layer of sight that God can give a person if you curate it, if you seek God diligently for it. You don't seek for money or accolades or fame. You're asking God, Father, give me wisdom that I not be destroyed. That's what Solomon asked God for. He said, Father, who can judge these, your great people? Who can judge a people as this? He asked God for wisdom, and God said to him, because you didn't ask to have victory over your enemies, you didn't ask for glory, you didn't ask for gold, I will give you what you asked for, wisdom, and all these things as well. Solomon, I always think of him as the king who didn't have to fight. His father fought all his life. Solomon didn't have to fight. God took care of him. So this man took everything from that woman. And the bitterness of it, I was feeling the bitterness. All the woman was feeling was fear. I was feeling the bitterness looking at that situation in the dream. The bitterness of it is that this man took what he didn't work for. He took it by brute force. He took it by means of threats. He took it by means of intimidation. There's a lot of women domestic violence survivors. Ask them, in the moment when he told you he was going to kill you, did you believe it? They'll always tell you 100% yes. 100% yes. That's why I lay down on the floor when he told me to. 100% yes. That's why I put the phone down when I was calling 911 when he told me to. I believed him. And that is wise, because if they had not listened, the majority of them would not be here today.
Even though I just beat up my wife, it made me feel the adrenaline, and I don't know what caused me to feel like that, but I felt like I was the man. We had to put it in a week frame. 7 days out of the week, I beat her 5. I kicked her in the face, punched her in the face, pulled out her hair. I struck her nose, and she started leaking blood really bad. Made her clean up her own blood. I wouldn't laugh. I'd be like, ha, 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 ha. Like, how do you like it? Like, insane shit. Like, I would be insane sometimes. Like,
you female of all colors, for the entire time I have been here, I have told you that you must go to God on your knees and ask God to set you free of the lie that feminism has created in you. This lie that men and women are equal. Like, you don't have eyeballs inherited from your great grandmother all the way down to you. God has been merciful to you, your whole family. You have eyes that work. But because you went to some kind of Diary of Anne Frank University that is out here telling you that because 1 or 2 women are strong enough physically to go and work on an oil rig, then you think it represents the majority of women, and you think that women are equal to men in stature, in strength, in endurance, in stamina. You don't know what's inside that XY. You don't know what happens when an XY gets angry, because an XY is afraid to go to jail in this country. And that is why he has not slapped you until your head spins around 6 times like a Popeye cartoon. You're out here walking around because you think that the law will always defend you. You can't touch me. You can't touch me. Sister, men can touch you. Men can cause you to cry the kind of tears, no matter what they tell you in the psychiatrist's office. You will rock back and forth. Men can cause the kind of pain that only Jesus Christ will have to come down from heaven to see what he can do about it. And I'm the one who has told you on this place that God has said to me that the damage that a man can cause, he says to me sometimes, Celestial, it cannot be repaired. And he said, those are the ones you lose. He didn't say those are the ones he loses. Jesus Christ is an operative behind the veil. He's an operative behind the veil. He does his own things in his own realm, in his own ways. And even me, walking along with him by his pinky toe, I don't always know how he's doing things. I don't know how he weighs things. There are people that hurt themselves and that take themselves out of this life because of the damage that a father, that a brother, and now you are hearing me say that the police, that the army, that ICE, that the paramilitary, you see a man not afraid to jump out of a chopper, and then it's that man you're going to start popping your neck. I'm a citizen. That man will slap you. Ma'am, you're going to have an Igor patch for the rest of your days, because when a man's fist connects with your face, you see this eyeball? My father is a surgeon. My father is the one who informed us that eyeballs are not toys, because he told us that the eyes, though they look secure, he said that they are mounted on stalks, and you can be hit hard enough for the stalk to dislodge. Your eye will pop out just the way a grape goes poop off the stalk. You will be a baddie with the eye patch because you want to run your mouth in front of a man that I told you when he's chewing gum and that thing in his cheek is going g-g-g-g. It's the time to shut up. It's the time to shut up. American women, you don't know when to stop.
Go away.
Go ahead. Physically threaten me. Physically threaten me. Go ahead.
I'm not physically threatening. I'm saying please leave.
Go ahead.
Go ahead what?
Go ahead and physically take me out and
I
push
said,
me.
Please, I'm asking you.
This is the place where I sleep.
No. This is my room. This is my house. You need to sleep out there.
You did nothing
You
tonight.
haven't paid rent.
You haven't.
You've done nothing but torture me
I
for
did
these
do
weeks.
it, and I paid.
Please leave. Please. Sylvia, please leave.
I paid
To save everybody's
your
stress.
rent so that
Save
I could
your
go
guests.
to the credit card.
Save your guests.
You think
a
you
problem.
haven't paid?
I don't
paid.
think no. I paid
Really?
everything I need to pay.
No, until this month. That's why.
Fine. Just can you sleep
I paid.
outside?
No.
I don't need to sleep.
They force me. They force me.
I
Go
don't
ahead.
wanna force
I
you.
already paid rent. Force me out. Force me out.
Listen, you're. That's what I'm talking about. Everybody trying to take me out to be a fucking enemy. Ain't nothing wrong with me. Everybody not taking responsibility for them. And I'm trying to take the responsibility for other fucking people. What? Calm down for what? I'm not coming down about nothing. People don't know what the fuck I'm going through. People don't know what I'm going through.
God was saying in as far back as I think it's 2018 or 2019, a word that I posted on Facebook, and then I shared it here in one of these videos. There's so many of them now. But what he was saying is that many homes, many relationships would crack. The problem is that and I've spoken about this, I said your potential killer, God will orchestrate a situation. The person will be ready to leave. Then you start holding on to them. How many situations, I don't mean to hurt your heart if this has happened to you. How many situations have occurred in which you know someone, the person was about to leave. They suffered irreconcilable differences, irreparable breakdowns, whatever. The person was on his way out. He even left. Then he changed his mind and came back. And then the woman let him back in. And at the time she let him back in, she died.
Here are some signs a man might kill you coming from an ex-domestic violence prosecutor. If he says anything like, if I can't have you, nobody else can, or any derivative of that, he might kill you. If he says he'll kill you, jokingly or during an argument, he might kill you. No regular, normal person has that on the tip of their tongue. If he starts to punch walls near your face, around your body, to scare you or throw things at you just to shock and scare you, he might kill you. If he begins to vandalize your property, like he flies off the handle and just tears up your apartment or just tears up your car, he might kill you. If he threatens suicide as a manipulation tactic to keep you in the relationship, that man is not stable. He might kill you. If he has extreme unreasonable jealousy, he might kill you.
A situation happened like that in 2003. Again, I think they were from Africa. I don't know what country, but they were living here. And the woman was doing well for herself. She was working at a bank and the man was a pastor. And when the church started going down, when the church wasn't making money, he just started accusing her, embarrassing her, belittling her, beating her until there is footage that her brother and her sister came to the house and said, listen, ma'am, you are no longer of a mental capacity that we as your siblings can trust to keep yourself safe. They came to the house because the man had called the brother and said, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to kill your sister. The brother didn't say, what do you mean by that? The brother didn't say, hey, we don't say that. The brother showed up with the sister and the two of them came and told the woman, you're getting out of this house today. He has threatened you. He has threatened you in my presence. The man repeated the threats as they were packing the lady out. He said, if I don't kill you. Situation like that, we're doing Etch-a-Sketch at the police station. I'm showing all the text messages. I'm taking everything. I'm not leaving that police station. I'm not leaving the court until I have something actionable against you. The man followed that woman, waited a short while, went to her job, waited for her in early morning. He is on camera and shot her.
Promise me, if I don't kill your sister, then me.
Shot down in broad daylight in front of witnesses, just steps from the front door of her own workplace. The suspect is not a career criminal. He's not a gang member. He is a pastor, a self-described prophet of God with tens of thousands of online followers. And the victim? She was his wife. This is the story of Barbara Tommy and the man who claimed to love her but could not let her go. Barbara Tommy was, by every measure, a woman on the rise. At 27 years old, she was living in Orlando, Florida, juggling a demanding career as an assistant manager at a Navy Federal Credit Union branch, while simultaneously pursuing a master's degree in strategic communications and leadership at Maryville University. She was driven, focused, and well-liked by the people around her, the kind of person who made those closest to her genuinely proud. Like many people in her community, Barbara was also a woman of faith. She attended church regularly, and it was through that faith that she crossed paths with the man who would ultimately destroy her life.
Because they will not want to let you go. Pharaoh said with his mouth, I will not let your people go. Understand that you are not fighting against flesh and blood. When you see them not wanting to let go of you, when you see them telling you, listen to me, when they tell you, if I can't have you, no one else will have you. Those are fighting words. Those are fighting words in the spirit. Automatically, you're bringing out your anointing oil, and then you're beginning to lose the prayers to say that there will only be one of us standing in this ring. You don't let someone threaten you like that. And then talk about, he's just jealous. He doesn't, this is women. Oh, he doesn't like me talking to other men. So when he met you, right? When he met you, he knew that other men existed. That this planet is not just all women plus him. So he knew that men exist. You talk to men at your job. You talk to men at the gym. You talk to the guy who puts gas in your car. But now psychopath Bob is coming out and saying things, and you're interpreting it as protection. You're interpreting it as love. You're interpreting it as, oh no, he's just a little jealous.
It's legitimately dangerous for women to break up with men because some men feel that if I can't have this woman, no one else can.
Just before 2 Monday afternoon, the sheriff says Hardin drove into this home on Shoreview, went inside and gunned down his estranged wife and his mother-in-law. His wife had called 911, the sheriff says, just moments before.
Said her husband was coming into her home. He crashed his vehicle into her home. The suspect entered the residence and fired multiple gunshots.
Both women were killed. Hardin first went to his son's house.
I'm just going to explain what happened. He was at the end of my street waiting for me and seen a car pull up in front of my house. It was for my neighbor. And he thought it was for me and thought it was a dude and convinced himself that he's seen a guy come out of my house. But if you look on the porch, there's only his footsteps. And the lady that actually came from my neighbors was a white female. And if he would have looked, he would have seen that and this wouldn't have happened. But he is delusional.
I love that woman dearly, bro. I love her dearly, bro.
But they said it was nothing they can do to get my baby back because he is the father. And we'd have to go to court and told me to file another restraining order.
Another restraining order for a man who had already torn through every one she had ever filed like they were made of air. She swallowed it, filed the paperwork, kept working, kept saving.
Jamarte was 24 at the time. He and Montani hadn't been together in years, but according to people familiar with the situation, he never really let it go. He watched her social media, saw the new relationship, the children, the holidays, the entire life she was living without him in it.
We've now learned the man accused of killing a woman at Boynton Beach was the victim's ex-boyfriend, who told police he did not want to see her with another person.
On Wednesday, November 8th, Fridaline Daniel went to her local police department to make a complaint. She wanted to report her ex-boyfriend, Robin Caesar, and she wanted police to know that he had been stalking and harassing her, and that she had tried to get him to stop, but that he had been following her and refused to cease communication.
There's a lot of rest in peace happening around the world. And the women are helping it. I'm not one to victim blame, but there's no way you can see a truck approaching you at speed and stand and say, I'm trusting the markings on the ground. I'm trusting the stop sign. The car is coming at you like that psychopath that drove into the crowd at Christmas, right? Because they like to wait until there's a parade, then they just drive their car in the middle and kill 12 people. So you see the car, it's running red lights, it's coming at you full tilt, and you're saying, but there's a crosswalk. Listen to what's coming out of people's mouths towards you. Listen to what's coming out of people's mouths towards your children. Don't tell yourself he's the father of the children. She's the mother of the children. So she couldn't possibly. Fire that statement out of your mind. Fire that statement out of your mind.
Little girl from Enfield, Connecticut, who was found deceased in her home. So this is Eve Rogers, and her mother found her deceased in her room on the morning of March 18th. She talked about Eve alludes to maybe she had some sort of illness. But yesterday, the police department announced the arrest of her stepfather, Anthony Federline, and he's facing a charge of first-degree sexual assault and 1 count of risk of injury to a child. And it's been confirmed that an SA kit was done on Eve, which identified 2 foreign sets of DNA, one of them being his.
Case against 46-year-old Joshua Youngblood. He's charged with fentanyl, murder by delivery, and sexual assault, accused of giving a dose of the powerful synthetic opioid to his daughter Jade and her friend back on Thanksgiving Day 2023. Investigators say it was part of a ruse to sexually assault the friend, but Jade ended up dying at age 27.
The people at greatest risk, the people that it is hardest to advise, is the woman laying next to the man that she married. That is the woman who is actually in need of the covering of God the most. She is the most vulnerable, the wife laying next to that man. The situation is complicated. The situation is fraught. You can't just get up and say, I'm leaving. But by no means should you use that as a reason to sit until somebody breaks something on you, until somebody kills you. By no means. You know who's still alive? Osinachi's pastor. You know who's still alive? Micah Miller's pastor. Osinachi's husband beat her until her organs pulped up and she died. Her pastor knew she was being abused. Woman of God. God hates divorce. Your safety is your father's interest. Your longevity is his delight. He's the person you go to talk to strategize with. You're strategizing with that, your useless sister who's telling you marriage is a gift. Marriage is a gift. Where will you go? Why are you working out your future with people who just want to ask you questions you don't have the answers to? You already know you don't have the answers to what you will do for finances. You know you don't have the answers to what you will do for where you're going to live. Why on earth are you engaging then in pointless conversation with people who will only ask you questions that you could ask yourself on your own? Is it helpful? It's not helpful. So why are you talking to them? Why not go and talk to God? Or why not go and talk to someone who will then say, if it's a situation where you don't have finances, then obviously your focus in 2025 is a prayer for increase of finances, is a prayer for promotion so that you start to get money. But when you get this promotion, you're not bringing it and say, look at the extra new money, because he will take it and add it to all the extra old money that he was taking from you and giving you an allowance like a 4-year-old. You don't need an angel from heaven to tell you that a bank account is wisdom.
Being a female, married, I'm 37, I have 2 kids, they're 5 and 7, and I've been a stay-at-home mom for the past 10 plus years. I have no income, I have no money. I use my husband's credit card and I use my husband's money. And 2 weeks ago, he told me that he wants to move forward with divorce. Today, I literally, like, I use an American Express credit card for everything. It's got my name on it, but obviously he pays the bill. He told me he's gonna cut it off. And I gotta, like, move all the automatic payments and stop using it. And he said, you need to start using your own card now. What card? I don't have a card. That is my card. Terrifying. I mean, I feel like a little girl who needs their mommy because I don't know how to take care of myself.
Went from having a corporate career to being a stay-at-home mom to door dashing in the rain for $2 tips. Let this be a lesson to never, ever, 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 ever trust that a man is always going to take care of you. Ever. Ever.
If you're planning to get away from a narcissist, a predator, somebody who's already raping you in the marriage, ma'am, you don't need the Bible verse that says, getteth thou a bank account. It's just a basic. Too many people are being murdered. Too many people are being killed.
The vice mayor of a South Florida city was found dead in her home Wednesday morning, and police say her husband is in custody in connection with the case.
This is being investigated as a domestic violence incident. Her husband, Stephen Bowen, is in our custody. There are no additional suspects at this time.
Court records show Bowen has been charged with premeditated murder and tampering with evidence.
On the outside, Nancy and Stephen Bowen appeared to be a couple moving through life together. They traveled, they appeared at events. On social media, the pictures showed a husband and wife, smiling, present, building a life. Stephen Bowen was 40 years old. He is described as Jamaican. His public Instagram biography, as it existed in March 2026, contained 3 words: God, husband, armed. What was happening inside that marriage, behind the social media images, behind the closed front door of their home in Coral Springs, is something the court process will work to establish fully over time.
There's going to come supercharging in the amount of female murder. And I know in some parts of the world, like right here in America and also in South Africa, I know that you think that the rate they're killing women is really high. But I don't think you know how much higher it can get. I saw them killing women until I saw myself in the streets yelling, you all need to stop killing these women. I was walking down the street, and every time a woman was killed, the Lord represented her by the head of a mannequin. You know, the mannequins that you see in the store, the mannequins that we see at Target and everywhere else. Okay, when a woman was killed, she turned into a mannequin, and then her head was put in the window. And so in that way, it became very easy to see at a glance how many women were dead, because all you had to do was walk down the street. And what I was seeing is 3 to 5 mannequin heads in one house. 2 mannequin heads staring out of one window, twin sisters. Another mannequin head down in the living room. Another mannequin head in the bedroom. Just dead heads staring out into the street until I was walking in the street, and I was cautioning and I was raising my voice in frustration. I was like, you all are making too many mannequin heads. Can't you see that you will finish all the women at this rate? I kept seeing more and more mannequin heads appearing in the windows of the stores that I was passing by. And the Lord gave me this dream 5 times. And each time that I had the dream, the number of heads in the storefronts and the houses and the jobs and the hotels increased until I started passing doll heads that were just laying in the streets. There was no more windows to put them in. Now, at the end of the dream, when I was walking, the last dream I was walking, I started to see doll heads just on the streets. I started to see doll heads thrown carelessly into garbage cans. Like the garbage can has trash in it, but then at the top it's full of doll heads so that the lid isn't even resting comfortably. The lid is like open and you just see the heads in there. I started to see entire black garbage bags filled with doll heads. I started to see doll heads in the front room of a house. And then inside the house, there's a young man moving about, looking in the fridge and making himself food. And then he sits on the couch and he's watching TV. And the Lord is making me know he killed the old lady in there. That's her grandson. He killed her for her Social Security. He killed her for her money and her jewelry. And since the 2 of them live together and nobody really ever checks in, that's his house now. And he's going to keep collecting and cashing her check.
Most murder investigations start with a body, but this one started with a list of Google searches that prosecutors say are too gruesome and too specific to be coincidences. At the centre is Brian Walsh, a now convicted con artist on trial for allegedly murdering his wife, Anna Walsh.
Best ways to dispose of a body - Google search. How long before a body starts to smell? Google search. How long for someone to be missing to inheritance? Yahoo search results. How long for someone to be missing to be dead? Yahoo search results. How long does DNA last? Which is a Google search. Can identification be made on partial human remains? Google search. How to dispose of a cell phone? Google search. How to dispose of a computer? Google search. I am a user on my wife's credit card. She is missing. Can I still use the card? Google search. My wife is missing. What should I do? Google search. Your spouse is missing and you want a divorce / hello divorce. Ways to dispose of body parts after murder. Yahoo search results. 6 ways to dispose of a body / murder. Patrick Kearney. Google search.
Who is Patrick Kearney?
He is who's named the trash bag killer. Cleaning up a dead body / wired. YouTube. How to clean blood from a wood floor. Google search. Can I use bleach to clean my wood floors from blood stains? / Google search. What does bleach do to dead bodies? Google search. Want to get away with murder? ? Use special detergent / Discover magazine. Is it better to throw away crime scene clothes or wash them? Google search. How to use hydrogen peroxide on bloodstains? Google search. How to clean bloodstains with hydrogen peroxide / YouTube. Should I use hydrogen peroxide 8 on bloodstains in concrete? Google search. Can the FBI tell when you accessed your phone? Google search. Does the dishwasher clean blood? Google search. Is it possible that a knife which had blood on it remains contaminated with HIV after it has been washed with hot water and dishwasher soap? Quora. How to remove a SIM card from an iPhone? Yahoo search. Remove or switch the SIM card in your iPhone - Apple support. How to remove a hard drive from an Apple laptop? Yahoo search results. TJ Maxx near me, Norwell - Yahoo search results. How long do stores keep security footage? Google search. How to saw a body? Google search. How to dismember a body? Google search. Hacksaw, the best tool for dismembering a body? Google search. Details of dismemberment discussed in murder trial / Wayne 15. Can you be charged with murder without a body? Google search. Murder conviction without a body / Wikipedia. No corpse? No problem. Notable murder convictions without a body / A&E True Crime. Can you identify a body with broken teeth? Google search. What powder mask smells the best? Google search. Can I mix white vinegar to stop smells? Google search. Can baking soda make a dead body smell good? Google search. Cleaning up blood without leaving a trace - 5 tips. Aftermath services. Are footprints easy to wash away? Google search. How long for a dismembered body to decompose? Yahoo search results. Body found at trash station. Yahoo search results. Can a body decompose in a plastic bag? Yahoo search results. Can police get your search history without your computer? Google search. Does a cell phone track your historical location? Yahoo search results. Cheating wife seduces another man to impregnate her. Scarlet scandal, Seth Gamble, erotica x - Pornhub.com. Chat with Miss_B in a live adult video chat room now. Best divorce strategies for men? Yahoo search results. Best state to divorce for a man? Google search. Washington, D.C. divorce laws? Google search. Replay poker - Google search.
Some of these men, they won't put you in the basement. The whole house is your basement. You won't ever grow. You won't ever flourish. You won't ever step outside again. They isolate you from your friends. So I saw this man, he was telling the woman she wanted to go and specifically study something in the medical field that everybody knows it's intensive in the beginning, but my goodness, the rewards afterwards. You'll be able to get a nice financial, the idea of this woman having money in her bank account that wasn't being given to her by this man as an allowance was a non-starter. It was a no-go area. They were having an explosive argument and the man was far more intimidating and explosive than the woman, telling her what kind of wife, what kind of mother would leave small children in the house and go out in the street to say that she wants a dream, she wants a career. God was just showing me, Celestial, look, all of this that I'm detailing to you, life is like a river. Look at the way my fingers flow. That's how many options stand before you. But this is what foolish choices do. This is what foolish choices do. This is what foolish choices do. They fold off the options. Every foolish choice that you make, sometimes a foolish choice is simply getting pregnant when you are in school. If you had 10 options, you end up with this many. You end up with this many simply because of the stress of having to compete with other children that are not burdened with morning sickness and weight gain and pregnancy brain. Celebrating and saying, I still graduated. It's not the same as what you could have accomplished if you were not pregnant outside of the time appointed for you. The problem with most people is that they will never, ever get on their knees and say, God, I admit at 16, I shouldn't be doing that. They'll feel attacked. She's judging me. Who has time? Who has time? I'm judging you. And then what? Which bill of mine does it pay to tell you the truth? None of them. None of them. And what will happen is, here's the thing. For you who won't accept it, and go back and repent so that God can actually reset the trajectory of your life. There's always that 16-year-old on this live stream who's going to listen. She's not going to do what you're going to do. So you're feeling attacked and she's getting deliverance right now. She's being told to keep her underwear on because sex is not for 16-year-olds. Same for the 17 or 18 or 35-year-old man that she's supposed to be sleeping with. If you're not married, it's not for you. It is not for you. It will never change on this channel. Sex is not for unmarried people. Period and finish. I shared in one of the recent videos, I think in this year, 2024, that what I actually saw was a husband raped his wife, and then he ran a hot bath for her, as hot as human flesh can tolerate it, and he commanded her to sit in the water. He commanded her to sit in the water, and she sat in that boiling water until the bath water turned tepid, which is a good 2 hours. He sat in that bathroom. He stood there watching her, watching over her so that she couldn't get out, so that even afterwards, if she wants to go and report, there'll be nothing there. Heat will destroy that evidence. Water will destroy that evidence. I saw a husband do that to his wife. And then the inbred, homebred rapists of the internet who call themselves Christians will come and say, I'm surprised that a woman as intelligent as you would say that a man can rape his wife. Let me catch you. You, that guy that said that. Let me see you here on this channel again. Then you will know me. Since you can see that I'm intelligent and bred. Come back. Because there's so many of you crawling around this internet with your incel, inbred, pedophile, porn-watching, rapist souls calling the name of our Jesus, but carrying ideas on the inside that mark you as a carnal danger to other people's daughters.
Rape in a relationship is more common than you know. It is not always a stranger that carries out these non-consensual acts. Statistics show that 93% of assaults are carried out by people you know, according to RAINN. Rape is carried out by a partner as a means of control, dominance, entitlement, and to exercise power in a relationship. Other times it can be to punish or to humiliate victims. It's natural to have a difficult time facing the thought that your spouse is capable of violation of your body. This adds to the intense emotions you might already be experiencing associated with the assault itself.
Rape is the new method of humbling. So it's God talking. He says rape is the new method of humbling. Rape is the new method of, listen up, women. Class is in session. Rape is the new way to teach you a lesson. If you will not date a man, if you will not greet me when I'm with my friends and I say hello, or I compliment you and you don't even respond, or you start walking away from me fast, like I'm a criminal, or like I'm dangerous, you cross the road like I'm a criminal. Rape is how I say, hello, you're not better than me. You're not too good for me. I can be your boyfriend. I am good enough to go out with. So let me pursue you how you want to be pursued for as long as it takes. And then I'll change things up and teach you a lesson.
Please go away.
Bro, I'm not a bad person.
I never said that you're a bad person. But yeah, but I told you. I told you that I didn't want to talk to you. It doesn't matter. I told you that I just wanted to sit here.
I'm more interested about you. I just want to see if you really do have a man.
I do have a man.
Oh, there's a lot of girls nowadays that just like to lie about having partners and stuff.
No, I actually have a boyfriend.
Men are training to attack women in case she says no. This misogynistic trend is sparking outrage in Brazil following a knife attack on a woman. Elena Anizio Rosa, 20, turned down a man who had been sending her flowers and chocolates. A month later, he broke into her home and stabbed her around 50 times. He only stopped when the victim's mother intervened after returning home in São Gonçalo near Rio de Janeiro. After the attack in February, Alana was placed in a medically induced coma and took weeks to recover following multiple surgeries. At the same time, a trend went viral on TikTok in Brazil showing men hitting or stabbing mannequins or imaginary people with the slogan, "I'm practicing in case she says no." According to Alana's mother, the attacker followed this type of content on social media. The case has raised concerns about increasingly common misogynistic posts and their potential impact on violence against women in Brazil. Last year, 1,586 femicides were recorded in the country, a record high.
This is the Lord speaking. Rape is a scourge. To scourge means to whip and flog something the way Jesus was beaten until the flesh was picked off his body from the thorns that were in the whip that was hitting him. A scourge is a person or a thing that causes great suffering, something so brutal and damaging that it is like a fire that burns through a cornfield and leaves nothing behind. Rape is an anomaly in how Yah wants this world to function, his world to function. It is a breakdown. It is a glitch that causes a terminal malfunction in the one doing it and the one it is being done to. Come here. Let me teach you a lesson. Let me show you that you are not too good for me. Let me show you that I have power. I'm stronger than you. I will humble you.
A man has been found guilty of raping and murdering his estranged wife, then staging her bedroom to make it look like she'd taken her own life. Michael Thompson subjected his wife Kim to years of domestic abuse before suffocating her at their home in Northampton.
It's emerged that Thompson had allegedly used the death of another ex-partner to threaten Kim before he killed her, something the jury weren't aware of during the trial.
The jury returned its guilty verdicts after deliberating for 11.5 hours. Meanwhile, Michael Thompson sat in the dock, smiling and shaking his head.
Former soldier Carl Clifford has been found guilty of raping his ex-girlfriend during a 4-hour attack in which he killed her mother and her sister. Clifford previously admitted to slaughtering her mother with a 10-inch knife before shooting his former partner and her sister with a crossbow at their home last year.
Obsessive, violent and vengeful, Assad Hussein turned his victim's safe haven into a living hell. When the woman he'd been seeing ended their brief relationship after he assaulted her, he devised a sick plan to lure strangers to her home to rape her.
Assad Hussein set up a fake Tinder profile pretending to be his ex-girlfriend. He then invited men who'd matched with the profile round to her house for sex. He told them to let themselves in and that if she said no, it was all part of the fantasy. At least 35 men turned up at the victim's house, including 4 in one night. One man even let himself into the victim's home when her daughter was home alone. Luckily, neither were physically harmed by any of the men. Hussein has been jailed for 8 years.
The first dream, July 11th, 2020. I didn't see anybody in the dream. I didn't see people in the dream. I was simply looking at it was just black in the dream. Sometimes I will have a dream. It is a dream, but there's no moving pictures in the dream. Sometimes a dream is just the Lord talking. The Lord will just talk and talk and talk in the dream, and I will wake up and remember all the things he said, and then I will write it down, and that is the dream. No pictures. Other times there's pictures, there's images, there's impressions. Pictures, images, I see them. Impressions are being laid on the heart. So you're having a sense of something as the spoken part of the dream is taking place. I didn't see anything, but it was a group of men on an online chat space discussing how to rape women. So if you are a female and you did not know that there are lots of online chat groups where men gather to share information as to the best ways to commit rape, then I guess, just as I was surprised to find out about this in a dream, the first time I ever knew that this is a thing was when I had this dream. There's a group of men, about 4 or 5 men, connected online in an online chat space, a virtual chat space, and all of them were at their own homes and they all had headsets on. So I wasn't seeing pictures, but this is how it was. Men at their own homes, all of them with headsets on, talking to each other in a virtual space. And they were laughing and they were sharing the best tips and the best ways, just the way men get together and talk about what's the best way to go fishing or what's the best way to go hunting. These men were talking about how to rape women and not get caught. They were talking about what to do to beat the system if you did get accused of rape. And what were the best ways to escape being caught if you got to the point where you were being forced to undergo DNA testing?
Rape group chats with over 70,000 men were just uncovered on Telegram, and no one is talking about it. In these group chats, men were giving each other advice on how to sedate and essay women. Thousands of men from different countries across the world coming together on Telegram to talk about this. Users claimed that they were also experienced in essaying women, including wives, partners, sisters, mothers, and also instructions suggestions on how others can do the same, shared pictures and videos of their assaults. We would also send each other links on which shops to buy the sedation medication from, and these medications would be disguised as hair products. The investigation was done by a German AfD broadcaster as well as their investigative team. Telegram has been a very big problem because a lot of people who do really heinous crimes go on Telegram because Telegram does not share their personal information. They refuse to share personal data to government agencies. Even though some of these group chats were taken down, more people would send new links to new group chats, so it's still ongoing. It's not all men, it's enough men. It's way too many men participating in these kinds of things, and in my opinion, us women, we don't fear men enough.
This week, about 100 students walked out of Camrose Composite High in Alberta. They were dressed in red, chanting. A grade 12 student by the name of Sarah Cavino stood in front of them and cried. They were protesting a Snapchat group chat dating all the way back to fall 2025, where several male students named specific girls at the school, detailing their violent graphic plans to rape and mutilate them. For months, screenshots circulated social media, and when one girl went to an adult at the school, she was told, and this is a direct quote, "Boys will be boys."
In this online space, some of the men were not as savvy as the other men. Some of the men had no idea how to do it, so they were first timers, or they were still new, or they were still scared. So in the group for a while, but not as savvy, and picking up information as to how to really take this type of protocol live for the first time. And so the ones who knew were telling the other ones how to stay one step ahead of the game in the rape scene. And they were chatting back and forth like they were in a virtual space that I was listening into. And then the dream ended.
We've been messaging for months, this man and I, but he doesn't know who I am because I've been undercover posing as a man.
We infiltrated a vast international network hiding in plain sight, and it led us to the same room as a man who said he was drugging and raping his wife. We created a fake name and soon got into a private Telegram group that's dedicated to sharing sleep content with almost 1,000 members. Users trade videos with the hashtag #ICheck, a way of proving a woman is asleep. One of them started messaging me directly. We're calling him Piotr. Piotr admitted to me that he had been crushing pills into his wife's drink to rape her in her sleep. Without encouraging him, I tried to find out how he was managing to do this.
So I'm going to send him a message now, and I'm going to see if he would meet with us.
By now, we'd worked out he was in Poland, and we knew roughly where he lived, but he refused to meet. And then, a tip. He let slip that he was planning to attend a party.
That's him. I recognise him. So we're inside the restaurant, and I've just seen him dancing with her. And at the start of this investigation, all of these men were faceless. And so seeing him tonight has just really brought home the fact that this is happening in real life.
We couldn't approach Piotr's wife without potentially putting her in danger, so we reached out to police about our findings.
After a group with 32,000 members, mostly men, was taken down because they were sharing images of their wives and other female family members like daughters and mothers. At this point, I feel like this is something I have to talk about monthly because every month another disgusting group will be discovered with tens of thousands of men happily sharing abuse material, sharing private material, and violating the privacy of women that they don't know, but also women who are literally their family members. And once you remove one of these groups, a million more will just pop right up. This was a group on Facebook and was taken down for violating our adult sexual exploitation policies. That is a very mild way to summarize this entire thing. They posted pictures of women in various states of undress, sometimes asleep or during intimate moments. Underneath the pictures, there were numerous sexually explicit comments from men. Some said that they wanted to, R-word the women, while others praised the secretive nature of some of the photographs. The page was highlighted by the author Carolina Capria, who said the linking of violence to sexuality is so ingrained in our culture that in a public group, men write without hiding their names and faces. Because technically speaking, these men are, old enough to know that what they're doing is committing a crime. But they don't fear any type of, consequence because these actions have been so normalized. People are calling this virtual R-wording, and this is exactly what it is. I mean, these men are literally seeing these videos and saying, I wish I could R-word you. And the other man who had posted that picture of his wife, his mother, his sister, is like, yeah, that's the reaction I want. Because the only thing they crave is the attention and the approval of other men that are just as vile as they are.
Scenario 1 is that this group has been around for a while. 32,000 men joined it, don't forget, and that no men in that time have reported this to authorities. None. Not even men who joined the group, realised what it was and then left. Scenario 2 is that this group has been around for a while and that people have, in fact, reported it to the authorities, and the authorities have done nothing, thus allowing more perverted husbands to join and more women to become victims in this situation. Scenario 3 is that the group has not been around for very long, but 32,000 perverted husbands have been tripping over themselves to join this group and share non-consensual images of their wives with other men. Which scenario would you prefer? Because they all sound absolutely horrendous to me.
The first incidents of exactly this thing that the Lord revealed to me took place in Singapore, where the case came about that a husband had, over a period of 2 or 3 years, had been part of an online chat group in which he met 4 or 5 other men, and they became close friends, and they began to share ideas of wouldn't it be nice if this person's wife could be made available to the group. And at first it was an idea, and eventually it came to real life. One man began to regularly seek opportunities to slip his own partner a drug, and when he would administer the drug and his wife would complain of being lightheaded and tired, he would make sure that she was knocked out, and then he would receive sometimes one or another person of that group into his home to sexually assault his wife, and he would live stream it back to the rest of the group so that they would not be let out, so they would not be left out.
2 men have been arrested, one for allegedly drugging his wife, raping her and then distributing the pornographic videos online. Police arrested the suspect in Boksburg. They say the 34-year-old performed sexual acts on his wife without her consent and then posted the videos on an exclusive social media channel over a period of 5 years. The victim appeared sedated and in a state of unconsciousness. Further investigations led to the arrest of another suspect in Germiston with a similar modus operandi. The men are known to each other, and police say they received an intelligence report from the British High Commission in Cape Town before their investigations led them to the suspects.
We seized several electronic devices. The devices, a preliminary investigation revealed that it contains images and videos depicting drug-facilitated sexual abuse. And we also found images and videos depicting child sexual abuse. Through further investigation and interviewing this suspect, he led us to another suspect, a 48-year-old man who was arrested in Germiston yesterday. They are known to each other. Similar modus operandi, possession and distribution of drug-facilitated sexual abuse. To be more specific, this is also called somnophilia, or more generally, it's a sleep fetish.
The second case is even more soul-destroying than the first. A husband shared his wife to over 100 men over the period of about 40 years. This man was only discovered at age 80-something. He and his wife have been married for almost 50 years. And for 40 of those years, this man has brought over everything, every being and creature to their home, giving his wedded spouse drugs, and then allowing strangers to violate her. But that is not all. He has sat there as his wife has complained about venereal disease after STD, after venereal disease, and questioned, where has this come upon me from? And then he would look at her and say, maybe it's the food that you've been eating. This is gaslighting wickedness at the highest order.
Prosecutors are accusing this woman's husband of repeatedly drugging and raping her over a period of nearly 10 years and encouraging dozens of other men to also rape her. Giselle, who is now 72, was allegedly so sedated that she has no memory of the abuse. Her lawyers say she was unaware of the rapes until police told her 4 years ago. Over the next 4 months of the trial, Giselle will come face to face with dozens of her accused abusers and hear what happened to her. She explicitly chose for the trial to be public to expose the defendants. Her husband, Dominique, has admitted to drugging and raping her, as well as recruiting others through a website to do the same, court documents show. Police identified at least 92 sexual assaults committed by 72 men. 50 were identified, and most have been charged with either aggravated or attempted rape and are standing trial alongside Dominique. Dominique claims that the other men were aware that his wife was drugged, something a number of the defendants deny. The majority face up to 20 years behind bars, with the trial set to continue until December.
He was literally caught because he was in a supermarket using his phone to try to get videos of women up under their skirt. And only after catching him doing that, that's what, like you said, that's when they went through his phone. And that's when all of this got brought to light. She was literally suffering from health problems for years and was going to the doctor. And they're like, we don't know what's going on.
The case is nowhere near over. They're expecting to have a verdict by December, and they are not even finished interviewing all of the men who had done this to Giselle. There's over 50 men who they have been able to identify from the films that her husband took, and they are all testifying in court. And she has requested that the videos of what was done to her be played for all the jurors.
This type of person, there is no going back for this type of person. This type of person is a soul that is simply waiting with the wrath of God abiding over them for judgment. And I've already spoken about that. That you outside that will hear something like this and think, oh, he's so old. Maybe we should pray for him to repent. There's no repentance from this. These are the acts of a seared conscience. If you don't know what searing is, it's when you take a good piece of meat and you put it on a burning hot barbecue. And that sound that goes shh is the frying of that meat. You can never get that part that has fried back to raw. You can never restore it. It is seared. It cannot be healed. It is Satan's. So there is no point in wasting prayers for it. It is literally filled with demons and it's only good for fire. And since most of us do not seem to have the wisdom to know how to differentiate between good and evil, thank goodness that God will step in the end days. For with God, there is no confusion, and he will know what to do with this type of demon in human skin. For 40 years, he did this to his spouse.
He was the one person she trusted most. But for 13 years, Philip Young drugged his ex-wife Joanne so he could rape and sexually assault her. It took almost half an hour for Young to enter his 48 guilty pleas. Today, Joanne, who's waived her anonymity, faced her ex-husband and heard the truth of how he attacked her and shared intimate videos of her on at least 500 occasions.
Well, as Joanne entered the courtroom, she walked directly in front of her ex-husband. Showing no emotion, she bravely watched him admit to raping and drugging her for more than a decade of their marriage, but he couldn't look at her. Joanne's sister, who was sitting next to her, then held her hand as the other 5 men accused of attacking her pleaded not guilty.
The 49-year-old was a former Swindon councillor. When he resigned in 2010, it was because he said he wanted to focus on his family. Today in court, he pleaded guilty to 11 counts of rape, 11 counts of administering a substance to overpower Joanne to allow sexual activity, 14 counts of voyeurism, and multiple counts of other sexual assault.
A man from Stockport has admitted raping, assaulting and abusing his wife over a number of years, while denying other charges that will be decided at a trial. Prosecutors also allege that he conspired with 13 other men to drug and sexually abuse his wife. One of those men, Keith Fotheringham, has already pleaded guilty to all of the charges that he faced. The other men due to stand trial who deny all the allegations against them are Philip Wilde, Sean Pearce, Jordan Wallace, Alan Keelan, Jonathan Kirk, Robert Stewart, Mohammed Sabir, Graham Broham, Richard Townsend, Carl Lindsay, Daniel Rayner and David Graves. One of the most shocking details is that one of the defendants, Jonathan Kirk, is actually a serving paramedic and was once pictured shaking hands with Prince Harry. Another, Carl Lindsay, was formerly the chief executive of Taunton Town Football Club. The husband himself cannot be named because doing so would identify his wife, who has lifelong anonymity. This feels very similar to the Giselle Pellico case, which happened not so long ago in France. And it might seem weird to say, but a lot of this doesn't actually seem that surprising anymore, especially when it came out recently that there was a site with millions of men on there who were wanting to do this essentially.
We gotta talk about what is happening in Germany and how a trial against a singular man has led to the discovery of an international network in which men sedate women to then rape them. And while they're committing their crimes, they're also filming them, sharing all of that in their little group chats. Multiple of these men have been charged already. It is believed that way more are still out there. The perpetrator in this case that is being dealt with in Munich, Germany, is a 27-year-old man who committed these crimes against his girlfriend, sedated her multiple times, and then continued on to Her? Well, she had no memories of that. When she was, giving her interview with the police, she was in disbelief. She wanted to see the proof. It didn't make sense in her mind how this man that she trusted, that she loved, would do something like this to her. She even asked herself, why would he even do anything like that? We already had regular intercourse. But for men like this, it is not about the act of intercourse itself. It is the lack of consent that actually gets them going.
Wake up, rape. Brush teeth, rape. Breakfast, rape. Homework, rape. Sleep, rape. Repeat. Some days it feels like nothing, and other days it is the thing that wraps itself around every single one of my thoughts. Today is one of those days. I want to talk about my sexual assault constantly, but at the same time, I don't want to talk about it at all. I hate how I want to talk about it so much, and I wonder if the desire to talk about it on my bad days will ever go away. What you just heard was a journal entry from April 20th, 2020. Today, it is October 20th, 2025. And yes, there are still days when it creeps back in and wraps itself around every one of my thoughts. Days when I can't seem to do anything except think about it.
Rape is what we call residual. It is a residual crime. I'm referring to the same word residual that they use for music stars and movie stars when they make a hit, when they make a movie. They make a hit, they make a movie, and they're supposed to get paid a certain amount for it. So that in perpetuity, every time the song is played, or every time the movie is played, or every time the musical score is played, that person receives a payment. That person is supposed to get money for the work that they did, which means you could do the Wizard of Oz. That was like what, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Every time it's played around the holiday season, money is going out to whoever is still alive. That is what residual is. And so rape is a residual crime because of the nature of how it desecrates the human vessel. It breaks the laws of sexual immorality, first and foremost, but it also breaks a law established in the book of Genesis, where it says that God in his own heart determined to make man, and he said with his own mouth that he was going to make man and woman, male and female. He created them, and he created them in the image of himself. Crimes of rape, crimes of pedophilia, crimes of sexual assault, taking sex by force, and compelling someone to participate in sexual acts against their will are directly crimes against this vessel that are called the image of God. It's a very high offense when you rape a baby. We're offended here on earth because the baby is tiny and the baby is small. And so we will assign the baby's rape very high and then assign the rape of a grandmother very low, saying foolish things like, well, she's old and things like that. Or a woman who is dressed a certain way, then we will say, well, she must have wanted it. Didn't she know better than that? Or some of the insane viewpoints that people have. People who don't read, people who apparently are growing up in caves, thinking that a man's wife cannot be raped, when every civilized nation in this world has recognized that marital rape is a thing, that inside marriage, both a man and a woman can be sexually violated, can be made subject to duress because of how the sexual act is created by God. It functions through willingness, meaning that when you override willingness and go against the wishes of a person, your ring is not enough to negate the sanctity of the image of God. But some people will get into a covenant like this and then say, but a man cannot rape his wife. And which is why I always tell you women, you are out there with handbags, you are out there looking at the curl pattern of these rapists to be, including so-called Christian men. And you have no idea to the coiled up pythons and serpents that are lurking inside these men's hearts until they finish so-called courting you, until they take you from your mother and your father, your grandmother, or whoever it is that has custody over you, or whoever it is that is your little village that you trust. And they take you to that house, and then they begin to remove the eye of the eagle that was shining so brightly, and the good-looking face, and the mane of the lion, and they uncover themselves to be the Gila monsters now of your 20, 30 year captivity. They are walking around here with the viewpoint that it's impossible to rape you because you're a wife, and therefore their urge is your natural duty, no matter what the circumstances are, even if they take it by force. And they're not shy to come to this blog and share their perversion in the comments. But I want to tell you that if you try it, I will stamp you out the way smokers stamp out cigarette butts before they walk away from it. If you want to be nasty, that's your business, but you will never be nasty on this holy blog, and that is just for free.
Police have just uncovered an international network of men who drug and rape their own partners. 8 of them have been arrested in the UK today, and investigators have identified more than 270 people linked to a single online forum, and 14 separate investigations are now running here and abroad. Now, this all started after German journalists uncovered the forum back in 2025, and the National Crime Agency's deputy director called it a truly international network with members identified across dozens of countries on every continent. In a separate but connected operation named Project Medusa, 57 arrests have been made so far, with over 100 investigations now launched. In Stockport, the husband of a woman allegedly drugged and assaulted is due to stand trial in September, alongside 12 other men. This echoes the high-profile French case that shocked the world. A woman drugged and raped by her own husband and dozens of strangers he invited into their home without her knowledge for nearly a decade. Now, officials are calling this some of the most horrifying abuse that they have encountered in their entire careers. It thrives in secrecy, often rooted in existing relationships. And these crimes are massively underreported because victims who have been sedated often have no memory of what happened to them at all.
And so, wives will be forced to sex. Partners will be forced to sex. Lodgers who go and lodge with people who are rapists will be forced to sex. And this is part of the sexual immorality that will be unleashed in the earth. I saw these men talking about ways to destroy DNA evidence, ways to force sex on your partner or your wife, ways to use drugs to break resistance to rape early. Please understand that these are the things God was showing me. That people will use substances to break one's resistance to rape early. Early means during the course of the day that the rapist has planned that it's your day. So you have a friend and he likes you and he wants to be more than a friend and you say no, and then he tries again and you say stop it, and then you say no, and then he says but we're good together, and she says you're my friend, I'm not interested, and then he decides that he's going to find ways to cross the friend line whether you like it or not, and the two of you are hanging out as usual, and he will bring you something to drink, something to eat, and then afterwards when you wake up you will find that you and he are now more than friends. Using substances, drugs to break resistance to rape early. Please understand that if someone is using drugs to break resistance to forced sex, this is not likely to be someone that you don't know. So all of the women who think that their bros are just bros, you might want to listen and begin to exercise wisdom in the type of life that you have been leading up to now.
The baby-faced teen accused of sexually assaulting and brutally killing his stepsister on a family cruise revealed his face in public for the first time as he entered a federal courthouse on May 27th. 16-year-old Timothy Hudson kept a straight face as he sauntered into federal court in Miami with his hands in his pockets and wearing a gray button-down shirt. Hudson has been out of jail since he was charged with murdering his 18-year-old stepsister, Anna Kepner, on a Caribbean Carnival cruise trip with family members in November. According to News Nation, a federal judge ruled that Hudson will remain free on supervised release ahead of trial, which is scheduled to begin in September. Hudson has pleaded not guilty. Kepner, affectionately nicknamed Anna Banana, and her blended family set sail on November 2nd from Miami for a 6-day Carnival cruise, which was supposed to sail through the Caribbean. Before tragedy struck, Anna had plans to join the U.S. Navy after graduation and eventually become a K-9 police officer. But on the 4th night of the cruise, the fun-loving cheerleader reportedly told family members at dinner that she was not feeling well and decided to go back to her room, according to the Daily Mail. When she didn't show up for breakfast the next morning, a desperate search was made of the massive ship, which can carry nearly 4,000 passengers. The search came to a disturbing end when a maid on the ship made a grisly discovery. Kepner was reportedly found dead, wrapped in a blanket, covered in life jackets, and crammed underneath a bed inside the cabin she shared with 2 other teens, one of which was her 16-year-old stepbrother. Hudson, Kepner's stepbrother, was later revealed to be a suspect in her death.
Her underwear is inside her body, and then on top of that, there's more, and it's very disturbing. Along with the underwear inside her body, prosecutors say semen was also found inside her body, and the prosecutors say that semen matched her stepbrother, Timothy Hudson. They also said that the medical examiner determined that Anna was alive when she was sexually assaulted. So just imagine the trauma that this girl was going through. Prosecutors say that Anna Kepner died in a very traumatic way. They say she was strangled in what they described as a chokehold. They alleged that the pressure was so severe that Anna's eardrums burst. Again, details a jury will not like. And at a February hearing, the prosecutor Alejandra Lopez said that while Anna struggled to breathe for minutes, her assailant continued to hold her neck in that position so that she would die from lack of oxygen. Minutes went by. Prosecutors argued that at any time, Timothy could have let go.
Rape poison. It works quickly and will first paralyze you so that you can't do anything until it eventually kills you. It will paralyze you first so that you can't go for help or run. That's why your legs started reacting so quickly once it received the dart. So he was calling the injection. It wasn't like a blow dart. He was calling the injection a dart. Then he says, date rape drugs make you lose consciousness so the person can take advantage of you while you are sedated. In such cases, you are still alive, you're still breathing, but you're so deeply asleep that you can't feel what the man does to you until after. Rape poison will paralyze you to the point that you are still conscious, and they'll start raping you right away while it is active and keeping you in paralysis. Please listen. You will be up. You will be seeing his face, and you will be lying there like a log as your various body parts are heating up, burning. You're in physical agony, and this being of a useless humanity will be taking advantage of you from the moment that he can notice legs are now weak, arms are not working, tongue cannot speak, jaw is now locked. They'll drag you wherever, and you won't be asleep like date rape drug. Yah says you will be awake and conscious, going through paralysis as they begin a rape. But he says, because this drug, these types of drugs.
Date rape drugs are used to make rape or sexual assault easier. They can make a person confused about what's happening and unable to defend themselves against unwanted sexual contact. The most common places where the victims get drugged are clubs, bars, parties, concerts, and other social events. To blur the victim's memory, abusers might use drugs like marijuana, Rohypnol, GHB and GBL, sleep aids, and others. Date rape drugs often have no color, no smell, and no taste when added to a drink or food. Alcohol can make the effects of drugs even stronger and can cause serious health problems or death. A drugged person can experience dizziness, slurred speech, trouble moving, nausea, a very slow or very fast heartbeat, or trouble breathing.
Rape poison is different from date rape drugs, like the one they call roofies, I think. Because it paralyzes all muscle, it will eventually stop the heart. So it will freeze you, paralyze you, working throat muscles. It's either you will asphyxiate because you can't breathe, or it will eventually stop your heart and you die. And he says, listen to me. This is the Father speaking to all of you who keep coming here and saying nonsense that she gets it from her mind. Yah says, and I want you to know, Celestial, that the men who use this poison will not stop raping the person when they die. They will still sleep with a corpse for about 1 to 2 hours after death, because the body is still warm and the necessary places that they want to access will still be in the same state as when the woman was alive. So they can stay raping a body for about 2 hours or even more after the person has clearly passed away before getting rid of them.
I could barely feel my legs. I was actually really shocked about how fast it kicks in. I think I had like 20 seconds. Tell my pals, and I'm so glad I told my pals, to be fair. My name's Taylor Court and I got spiked on my first girls' holiday. I went to Magaluf in Spain. I was in Bananas nightclub. So I went to the toilet, this man approached me and bumped into my arm, and then it was like a wee sharp shooting pain in my arm, and then he was very, very apologetic, and then I felt like a liquid run through my whole body, and it kind of took over me, but I did have the sense to go over and tell my pals straight away. It was more just scary because I didn't know what was happening to me, and then obviously I was kind of losing feeling in my body, like my legs and that. I was in the hospital for at least 4 hours just getting bloods and tests, and that's when they found the GHB and then some sort of antidepressant. I've been given antivirals to try fight any blood diseases such as HIV, hepatitis B and C, so I'm just so tired after doing any sort of exercise, can hardly walk anymore. And then it's more just the mental side of it all. I was having flashbacks, nightmares, I was scared to go to bed myself because I was just waking up and extreme fear.
It could be GHB, it could be retinol.
What's her name? Do you know her? Abigail.
You guys, this is crazy. What was supposed to be a fun vacation to the Bahamas for these best friends turned out to be a complete nightmare. Their names are Amber Shearer and Dungayla Dobson. So on Sunday, they made a stop on Grand Bahama during a Carnival cruise. After they got off the ship, they took a taxi to a local resort. And while there, the bar had this buy one, get one free deal on drinks. So they each got one. While they were on the beach, a male staff member of the resort approached them and said that he knew of a really good place where they could find good shells. And then the next thing Amber remembered is a guy forcing himself on her. Like she came to while it was happening.
This one's for the people that think drink spiking doesn't exist. Date rape drugs available for sale on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. An investigation found hundreds of posts promoting the drugs in the UK. It was reported that Telegram had the most accounts offering GHB and GBL for sale, with 17 channels ranging from small groups to some with more than 11,000 subscribers. The accounts advertising the drugs were told to make contact through Telegram or Snapchat. A journalist in the UK was roofied named McCann. She said, even though I'd only had a sip, it became clear about 20 minutes later that I'd started to feel quite strange. She felt hot and didn't feel right, went to the bathroom, couldn't focus, couldn't sit straight, and couldn't really see. Luckily, she managed to book an Uber to get in the car and made her way home. She doesn't remember being in the car, doesn't remember getting into her house, and woke up at 4 o'clock on her bathroom floor. It follows a drug dealer who imported over 100 gallons of lethal date rape drugs. The drugs he imported around 500,000 pounds worth of illegal substances using a cleaning company as a front for his criminal activity. It is terrifying that these date rape drugs are getting so easy to access.
It's cheap, it's odorless, and just 1 ml too much can put you in a coma. It's called GHB, or G, another name, and that is the date rape drug. GHB has been linked to a series of horrific rapes and murders in the UK of convicted serial rapist Reynard Sinaga, who drugged his victims unconscious before assaulting them. The drug is a clear, odorless liquid and can be easily administered to a person's drink without their knowledge. It can make a person feel euphoric in small doses, but can also lead to drowsiness and unconsciousness, as traces of the drug can leave the body in an hour, making it hard to detect.
Two men vacationing in South Beach for spring break, now charged with drugging and raping a woman who later died in a hotel. Police are arresting Dorian Taylor and Evia Collier, both from North Carolina. Detectives obtained surveillance video showing them entering the Albion Hotel with a 24-year-old woman from Pennsylvania and later leaving without her before she was found dead on Thursday.
We are learning new information about the teen accused of drugging and raping a 15-year-old girl at a party. That young victim remains in critical condition at the hospital.
Him bragging about his alleged what he did to this girl, for bragging about it on a social media live stream.
But the got her knocked out, bro.
Four Baltimore police officers are accused of sexually assaulting a woman in San Francisco, and this week it was announced that San Francisco prosecutors will not be pressing charges against those officers, even though that woman got a rape kit done and all of their DNA was found on her. She said that she met those officers through a friend and they were all going out socially to have fun. She had one shot of liquor and then hours later woke up having been drugged and naked. She woke up in the same room as those officers who were all packing up to leave. And she repeatedly asked, "What happened? Can I get help?" And they all ignored her and left. She said there was no possible way that she could have consented to what happened. So she got a rape kit. And despite all of the evidence found in that rape kit, San Francisco prosecutors are declining to press charges.
So, this is probably old news for people in the medical community. But last week, a gentleman in Brazil, I believe, was caught sticking his man parts in a woman's mouth while she was sedated giving birth to her child via C-section. This message is for the general public. You must be even more terrified going under anesthesia now, learning that people do this.
Women are facing a great pandemic and crisis of psychopath men that are blending seamlessly into society. These men are using a panel of different traps and bait to catfish women and secure them for extremely malicious harm to their person. It is necessary for women to abstain from casual sexual activity because that is where they are vulnerable and easy to kill and do other forms of grievous bodily harm to, as well as it is necessary for women to read the signs in their relationship early that a man is not a good person. Evil has entered the world. Things like this will become an everyday occurrence. So the duty of care, safety first, is on the one who's most vulnerable to check her environment, to move in pairs, to seek a protector, to avoid any hint of immorality, to stay in places that are thoroughly vetted, and to stay in places that are thoroughly vetted, which will be able to assume a duty of care for her.
Police emergency, what's the location?
Train station, Paris Marquis. In a public phone box. There's blood everywhere. I've just been raped and attacked.
Okay, stay on the line for me. I've got officers coming to you, please don't move.
You don't expect someone to be raped in a telephone box on a busy road in the early hours of the morning. She's gone out for a night out and she's not safe to walk the streets.
So the telephone box is where the actual incident happened, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a real vicious
It's
attack.
horrific, isn't it? At 1 o'clock-ish in the morning, how busy is the traffic and how well is it lit as well? You don't know, do you?
So I think if we swap the offence location.
I'll have a look just to see if we can get any cellular material.
Yeah.
With those stranger rapes, the biggest challenge is we've got to connect two people who seem to be not connected in any way, and we've got to get those two people and we've got to put them in the same place at the same time.
The victim is so brave to come forward and report this incident. Understandably, the victim has gone through something so horrific and so traumatic, and we have to work at their speed. But we have a forensic window to gather the best forensic evidence before DNA starts to degrade and can be contaminated. So time is of the essence. We advise, not to wash, not to go to the toilet, because we can get forensic evidence from them. DNA from intimate swabs. From the clothing, we may get semen, but also cellular DNA, as the offenders actually touch the victim's clothing. I'm hopeful, but there's never any guarantees.
I felt someone grab me. Where did they grab you? They grabbed me from behind and pushed me in the phone box. He had his arms around me. He was punching me as well. On my head and my face. And he raped me.
During any of this, has he spoken to you?
He did just say shut up or something like that. But he did have a foreign accent. Like Middle East, Kurdish, Romanian. Yeah.
And what about his height and his build?
He wasn't that big. I think kind of 5 foot.
I think she's done incredibly well. She was able to tell us his height. She gave us his accent of where she believed he was to originate from. This can sometimes be a bit subjective, but that's the only information about the suspect that we've got at this time. It was a really good starting point.
We're aware that the victim came from the pub before the offence. We're looking for people that are acting in a way that doesn't make a lot of sense. People standing around by themselves, maybe watching.
So this is at 1:26. He hangs around for a few more minutes. At this point, the victim is still in the Wetherspoons. Then he wanders off up here. He walks away. This is our victim now walking in the same direction. The next camera shows the attack taking place.
It's the worst footage I've ever seen. It's the level of violence and the continuation of that violence.
After the attack, the offender runs out of range of the street cameras and disappears.
I know that she's in the Wetherspoons pub. What I don't know, and the questions I need to ask is, where is he coming to all of this? Is he drinking in the pub? Has he seen her in there before? Has there been any previous contact between them? We can see sort of what clothing he was wearing at the time of the attack, give us a starting point.
This guy looks like he could be a guy.
Same tracksuit, same trainers.
That's our guy who's come straight in. He's looked at the male toilet, then he's gone straight into the female toilet.
So he's gone into the women's toilets?
Yeah.
Let's see how long he's in there for. 10 seconds. 15 seconds.
He's coming back out now.
And he's gone into the men's?
Yeah. Hold on, is that our victim? He's coming back in. He's not even looking or trying to go to the men's this time. He's gone straight into the women's. Oh. She's just exited the toilet.
He doesn't know that. He still thinks she's in those toilets. I think he's followed her way into the toilet. It's really terrifying to watch that. He's targeted her.
God has said a mouthful here. The kernel at the core of the mouthful is basically that there are men who are willing to drug you, start raping you when you're alive. And then he says basically, and I'm going to be blunt, when you die, your breast will still be soft and everything will still work perfectly down below. You can be sodomized while dead because your corpse doesn't stiffen for about 2 to 3 hours. A person will be just exactly like these creepazoid dolls that they're making in Asia, in Japan and Korea, and everyone is ordering because it's so lifelike. Those dolls are dead, but apparently they have very active social lives in the homes of all the sickos who are unable to speak to, court, date, and marry real women. The doll doesn't have a hassle. The doll doesn't want to go out and eat. The doll will never ask for a Birkin. And so these dolls are burgeoning globally in popularity. And it's a whole lie to think that only incels want these dolls. Normal men, corporate bosses, the guys that you are calling 6'5" blue eyes, they want these dolls. They're less hassle than women. This is the depths of depravity that is in the hearts of men today. And God is exposing it here and warning women about something that he calls rape poison. I just spoke of motive. Do you know what's in the mind of a person who doesn't just want to defile a female, but actually doesn't care about the death of the female? Somebody wants sex from you to the point that he's okay if you don't walk away after, because he's just after the experience anyway. He's no different from a lot of the guys who pursue women because they just want to be sexually active with that woman so they can back off and say, yeah, she was a bit of a challenge, but the 3 months was worth it. And you will think, oh, I'm making him wait. I've been listening to the advice on TikTok that says, don't give it too early, 60 days, 90 days, counting days, right? Like you're going for a cancer evaluation, because that's the level of female morality in a lot of people today. And then you finally give it to him and you find out, guess what? It was a bet. Guess what? He just wanted a notch on his belt. Guess what? You're just another scalp on his belt. You're just another experience for him to talk about at golf. You finally get there and you think you've conquered. No, he's conquered you. And now he switches up. The attitude is different. The flow is different. All of a sudden, the phone calls that you thought only call every 4 days. Now you're waiting for that call. It's not coming back. Why? Because he's seen you pray. But now they've scaled it up. It's no longer date, rape, drugs by people that you know. God is now saying that, oh no, there's a headstone in it for you. The unwise female. There's a headstone in it for you. The female who is not protected, not covered, not shielded, not wise.
I don't understand today's dating world. I take girls on nice dates, I get them flowers, I'm emotionally available, I go to the gym, it doesn't matter what I do. And yet, every time, I get the same outcome.
My name is Lana Drews. In 2018, while I was living and working as a model in Beverly Hills, and I also owned a fashion software company, I had contact with Eric Swalwell on 3 separate occasions after meeting him socially. He offered me connections to further my software company, and I also had an interest in local politics. He invited me to 2 public events. I knew he was married at the time and that his wife was pregnant. He was my friend. On the third occasion, I believe he drugged my drink. I only had 1 glass of wine. We were supposed to go to a political event, and he said he needed to get paperwork from his hotel room. When I arrived at his hotel room, I was already incapacitated, and I couldn't move my arms or my body. He raped me, and he choked me. And while he was choking me, I lost consciousness. And I thought I died.
All who are minded to listen can listen. This is an open and a free platform. I can't stop or police anyone from coming here, and I can't prevent anyone from listening. So all who are minded to listen can listen. But I'm telling you now, if you are stubborn-hearted, if you are the kind of person who you go against what Proverbs chapter 18 and verse 13 says, where it says that he who judges a matter before he hears it, the same is a fool, and it is also shame to him. God is talking about in the Bible where people cannot keep quiet and keep still long enough for the fullness of a matter to be presented to them so that they have all the facts. They don't have it in increments, bits and pieces where they keep talking as the video is going, but you are actually listening and allowing your spirit to pull all the information so that you can sit down and think about it and ask yourself, why would God show her something like this? Why would God show her something like this? Why would he send her out to talk about us like this, to reveal this kind of thing about us? And what is God's intention by sending this woman to us Nigerians, to us Africans, to say these things? So you can listen, but I'm telling you now, if you're someone who is stubborn, if you're one of those who you always miss the point of what the Holy Spirit is saying because you listen to everything through this modern ear, because you've learned a lot of books and because you've gone to school and you have a lot of this and that credentials, if you're always listening with a modern, logical, well, I'll see if I like it or not, or if you have fallen prey to feminist arguments, as many women around the world have, especially when it comes to certain things, then I can tell you right now that it will not be well with you. This prophecy will not benefit you, and you will not be able to draw anything from it, and you are running the risk of being one who will become an object lesson. God says that if there are any women who want to show that they are wiser than God, this is the impression he was laying on my heart. Even before I started the video, I'm going to give you a preview. And he simply said that there's greed in the hearts of women, Celestial. There's great greed in the hearts of women, and it will be their destruction. It will be their downfall. When you hear this prophecy and you still think that the finer things in life are yours by right, yours by default, all I can say is you will be on the news. It doesn't matter where that news is. It may be international news. It may be news in your country, but you will very likely be on the news against your will. Just a moment, please. So if there are any women who want to show that they're wiser than God, they will eventually find that it is not wise to kick against the goads. When you hear what will be happening and coming to many nations, and you hear it in full, and you hear it with full understanding, then you as a woman will be tasked to decide whether you are going to end up being made an example of, whether you're going to end up being a guinea pig to defend feminism, or whether you're going to obey God, whether you're going to walk in your life with sense and wisdom in these last days.
Her family said she was very excited to be there, shared pictures with the family, FaceTimed them when she was proposed to. But they released a statement saying that Ashley was found unconscious in her villa and was rushed to a local hospital where her death was confirmed hours later. I spoke to Robinson's parents. Here's some of what they had to say.
It doesn't make any sense. She was traveling with her with her boyfriend, and he was taking what was supposed to be a celebratory trip to celebrate her birthday that was coming, and they were in a gorgeous place in Africa and happy. Everything that we knew was that she was supposed to be happy.
God says that women need to mind themselves and how they go out. You have to dress for safety rather than easy access. You that love straps, you that spend all your time on Instagram thinking of ways to wear less, God is talking to you. There's a mindset in women. The feminist mindset is melting the brains of women more and more. Every 5 minutes, they have a new trend. I'm not dressing for the male gaze. I'm not doing this or doing that. Feminism tells women that they can be different by means of protests or stepping away from so-called established female ideals. But what it really is simply offering them an alternative way to destroy themselves. And they don't see that. What God made them to be and how he placed them, they find that repressive and they find it odd. And so they think that they shall rebel successfully because Satan is inside feminism. Satan is the father of all rebellion. It doesn't matter if your 2-year-old is telling you no and you're thinking it's a phase, but he's growing up into a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 10-year-old who keeps saying no. There's a rebellious spirit inside your child. And if you don't prune and weed that thing, I mean kill it, talking about, I don't want to break his spirit. If you don't break his spirit, you will be taking cakes to prison every 6 months to celebrate his new milestones on his 25-year spirit because you lack wisdom. You lack wisdom. You lack the ability to actually see when ragweed is growing in your garden and rip it up. And feminism is just one like that. Satan keeps saying, you don't need to do, and you don't need to be, and you don't need to take any time to read that boring old book to find out what is the construct of God in God's mind for you. What is the placement of God in God's mind for you? How do you link with God as a woman? No, I'm telling you, I've got something better here. Come and be a user. Come and be a female prostitute. Come and be a pimp. No Birkin, no date. No Hermes, no handbag, no phone number. What has you done for me lately? Come and be this. Those of you following that woman with the hooded eyes on the internet calling herself Sprinkle Sprinkle, have you checked the woman's background to see that she's a whole witch and that she's not hiding it? Have you checked the woman's background to find out who she actually is? You take advice from the mouths of slimy people, then you become slimy. And then when you see somebody who's not slimy speaking under the anointing of God to you, you're offended. You're offended.
What do you do if he's abusive but a provider? Girl, get you some weapons. Learn how to fight. Learn self-defense. Didn't y'all ever see what's love got to do with it or enough? You beat him up one time. What are you gonna do? He ain't gonna come back at you. Go take that money and go take some taekwondo lessons or something, girl, and do something.
There's this strangeness in the minds of women that they actually think that they can hunt. The devil has come with so much crack for women that they've huffed it, that they now think when they go out into the landscape of men and women, the men who God gave the instinct to hunt, they think, oh, we're hunting them back.
Hey, so I already have a trick. He already pays my rent, paid my car off. We go on trips like to Hawaii and things like that. I want more. Like I want a house now, but I don't know how to like push into that.
Okay, now I'm here to help you, and that's actually in my ebook. So, how much money estimate he spent on you?
I have an unlimited credit card, and then he sends me like $5,000 a month.
And do you mind me asking what race he is?
He's white.
Perfect. I love it. You won.
Okay. All right.
Now, my next step is make sure you on his life insurance policy. Make sure you on his 401k. Now, be honest. Do you work?
No, I do not work.
Okay. Do you have a business?
I do have a business.
Okay. So, have you ever asked him for money for inventory for the business?
Yes.
And has he provide?
Yes.
Okay. Now, next question. Where do you live now?
In Idaho.
No, like the living space, like apartment, house.
A suburban home. Yeah.
So, a home or apartment?
A home.
Do you own it?
Yes, it's under my name. But I don't. I rent
it off, or you want a new one?
I want a home, like mortgage, like I want a home. This is just like a rented home.
Okay, so mortgage. See, I done got a mortgage up out of a nigga. You know what I'm saying? So let me tell you how you do it.
We're the this movement and the that movement, forgetting that just in terms of stealth, in terms of targeting, and in terms of just sheer body weight, you can never be a hunter. Not unless you turn into Lizzie Borden and you're going out there chopping them with an axe to do payback against them. I don't think that most women are willing to turn serial killer to even the score. These are the things that God is talking about. The rise of a drug that kills, that will paralyze you, that will have you in the last fading moments of your life aware that this precious thing is being taken away from you by force. And the end of it is then when you start to struggle for air, or when your heart now fails to pump and you realize, oh, I'm actually going into darkness. This is a horrifying way to expire, a terrible, terrible way to leave this earth. And yet he is saying that it's going to become commonplace, meaning that what? These hotels are going to be putting out more and more statements that we're closed for renovation on the 5th floor because we had a murder there. And please don't be please do not be naive. Because we've already seen live footage of a highly, highly decorated, famous celebrity who was able to kick another famous celebrity in her chest, in her hair, stomp on her back. And it was recorded on footage. And it broke. The story broke years ago. No, it didn't. The tape was paid for and removed out of circulation. It went into the hands of the abuser with the acquiescence of the hotel, which means that the hotels are also highly vested in covering up incidents. They're vested in covering up murders. They're vested in covering up what they will call an unpleasant accident. Imagine a family has lost their daughter. They're looking for her body parts all over the city, and the hotel is putting out a statement calling a heinous murder like that an unfortunate incident.
3 wealthy brothers, including 2 of New York's top real estate brokers, were found guilty of sex trafficking charges over accusations they drugged, sexually assaulted, and raped scores of women since 2010. During the 5-week trial of Oren, Alon, and Tal Alexander, 11 women testified that they were sexually assaulted by one or more of the brothers. Prosecutors said the brothers lured women with their wealth and influence to lavish parties and vacations where the assaults happened. Prosecutors said more than 60 women say they were raped by at least one of the brothers. Defense lawyers suggested that the accusers had faulty memories or were hoping to cash in on the brothers' fortunes and any sex was consensual. But prosecutors pushed back on that idea, saying only 2 of the women who testified had pending lawsuits, and both of them were wealthy themselves.
The death of 19-year-old Edward Corns, a young man who had only just arrived at UCL, was thrilled to be at university and dreamed of being a barrister. Less than 48 hours after his parents dropped him off at Halls, Edward was found dead in a budget hotel about half a mile away. The post-mortem found a combination of alcohol, GHB, and crystal meth. The 2 men he spent his final hours with were both aged in their 50s. They delayed calling an ambulance and gave police contradictory accounts of what had happened. Nobody was charged. 3 years on, what happened in that room remains unclear. What is clear is that the investigation that was supposed to find answers repeatedly fell short.
This is how real life cookies crumble. But who is minded with the mind of God? Who is minded safety first? Imagine Yah talking about the difference between being put to sleep and gang raped and being raped while conscious but frozen until you die and the man continues. The indignity of necrophilia. Then Americans will come and say, no, America's still got hope and a chance. The sins that are done here, this nation is going to be napalmed by God. It won't be Vietnam that comes to napalm us. It will be heavenly napalm pouring down.
27-year-old Joseph Horner in court facing charges he raped and murdered his sister-in-law last month.
He's a cold, calculated, vicious killer.
The Nassau County District Attorney described a chilling attack in which Horner allegedly choked 25-year-old Victoria Castle, who lived in a downstairs apartment in the same house he shared with his wife. According to the DA, he asked her to help him move a piano keyboard. She complied. And then investigators say he returned to her apartment to retrieve the piano bench and then attacked her from behind.
He put her in a chokehold until her body went limp. He then removed her clothing, placed her on her bed, and raped her.
The DA revealed today that video from inside Horner's own home showed him mock choking a pink stuffed bunny rabbit minutes before he did the same thing to Victoria.
The same method he allegedly used to violently end Victoria's life.
Investigators say Horner had lusted after his sister-in-law since he first met her back in 2017 when he was dating her older sister in college.
Even as he stood at the altar in 2023 and married the victim's sister, his dangerous fixation on Victoria never wavered.
We know that. I want to admit that I am admitting the offences, but I don't really want to go into detail. Here. Okay. We appreciate that. And what offences are you admitting, David? As you just described them. Okay. In terms of the sexual penetration of corpses? Okay. Have you been recording yourself doing those things? Recording yourself sexually penetrating the corpses?
A disturbing break-in in downtown Phoenix. It has led to horrific charges, really unimaginable charges against a local man. 31-year-old Fenris Liu is accused of using a crowbar to break into the Maricopa County Medical Examiner's office and gaining access to corpses. And according to multiple law enforcement sources, Liu was caught on camera breaking the seal on several body bags and having sexual contact with several of the bodies.
Approximately 11 bodies that were the bags that they were kept in, they were broken open.
And investigators are alleging he had sexual contact with several of them.
This Kentucky man is behind bars after police said he had sexual intercourse with a dead deer.
I have sat here on this channel for years, since 2019, warning women and men, especially men, that you're not too big to be picked up in a van. I've told you that these human traffickers, they traffic females and males. Don't trust in your muscles. The Bible says that a horse is a vain thing for safety. You are less strong than a horse. That Bible verse means that you are not to put your trust solidly in physical things, natural things, tangible things that you can feel. I have told you that they're looking for men and women for human sacrifice. They're looking for men and women to take you to these Illuminati parties. You will be the party favor, whoever it is that goes into that van. Said stay alert, take the earbuds out of your ears when you're walking at night. Do not even trust being in a public place, because these people are stealing or attempting to steal people from our large big box retail stores like Walmart, big places like Kroger's and Sam's Club. They're attempting to snatch teenagers from the parking lots, from inside the stores, walking behind you and monitoring you so that they can follow you to your car, air tagging your car to follow you to your home. Target, places like that. Grown women.
Kingman, Arizona Walmart. Women's bathroom has a padlock up here where you can lock the door from the outside. Only on the women's and the family bathroom where women and children go. Family restroom is mostly women and children. A padlock lock. Men's bathroom, there's no lock. Why is this on the women's bathroom and the children's bathroom in Kingman Walmart? Are they trafficking kids?
If you see this, run. If you see money in your windshield, you need to run away fast. They're trying to get you to get out of your car and grab the money. If you see this, you need to get in your car some other way. This is a sign that this is probably laced with something. People's hands have gone numb. They have passed out. It is a trick. Do not touch this. If you see this, they have labeled this. This is what they're labeling. They're saying this is a woman who is alone, that someone has been watching you. They see you're alone. They think you're vulnerable. You need to go home and you need to cut this off. This is meant to pause you so that someone from underneath the car can cut your Achilles heel, and so that you're distracted. It gives them enough time to get to you. See, this one looks the most innocent, but you're going to notice this one. It's going to be placed here after you're already in your car. Their goal is to get you out of your car.
Now 5 female employees in a posh New Jersey mall between like 29 and 40 or so. They were all found unconscious in the parking garage.
If you're a woman, you need to hear this, because this is actually happening. Women are being targeted with chemicals that can knock you out in seconds, and most people have no idea how it's done. One of them is Fent crushed into a powder, and the other one is a liquid that's nicknamed Devil's Breath. So one of the main ways they do it is someone walks up to you with a piece of paper asking for directions. They hold it out, they try to make you grab it, or they lift it right near your face so you breathe it in. Then you pass out. They're wearing gloves, so it usually doesn't affect them. One guy did it while wearing a blue hospital mask. Another method is wiping a cloth soaked in it on your car door handle. You may not be wearing gloves, you touch it, you inhale near it, you can go down really fast. If you're in a parking lot, they're just going to drag you straight into a nearby car or van that they had ready.
3 14-year-old girls are from Bristol. This started on a Friday night. The 3 girls were just having a fun sleepover when they were eventually picked up by one of the men, arrested and taken to Hartford. These are 6 of the 7 men charged in this sex trafficking case, 3 of them in their mid-30s. Raheem Jones is 50. In their arrest warrants, the victims and family members detail the horrific weekend in May and the miraculous rescue by 2 of the girls' aunts. Police claim the 14-year-old girls agreed to meet up with one of the men, were picked up by 3, and brought to this home on Ridgefield Street in Hartford. It was in here police say the girls were raped by some of the men in the apartment. One girl claiming they were sexually assaulted by 4 to 5 adult males, adding the guys had them smoke marijuana and drink Don Julio tequila. After feeling intoxicated, it was a free-for-all. The next day, the girls were taken to 3 other Hartford locations, including the Super 8 Hotel, where they were sexually assaulted again, according to police. Before they knew it, the girls were allegedly being sex trafficked, with one man telling the girls they'd get them flip phones, take them to spots, and they had to say they were 20. And if Ahmad Compton had 5 fingers up, that meant they had to spend 5 minutes with a guy.
We have to understand that what is taking place here, I have long said, it is not just the operation of normal human sin. There is such a thing as normal human sin. You steal, you lie, you covet, you gossip. Okay. This is not that. I've always said from the beginning of this ministry that when demons involve themselves in our sin, that is when we will start to see skin dress murders. Have you seen the type of murders that we're having here now in America? Have you seen the type of murders involving minors? Have you seen the type of, he came home and then Phil wiped out the whole family? You look at the whole family, it's 6 kids. 4 of the kids are under the age of 9. Phil's wife is gone. Everybody's future is gone, including Phil, because now he doesn't want to have to do time. Is Chris Watts now a lone wolf type of killing?
The fact that this was literally how big the hatch opening was to the oil wells that Chris Watts put his daughters in. It's absolutely insane to me. Insane. Like, what can go into someone's brain to do something like that, first of all? And then you see how small this is. Do you see how small that is? Like, that guy's hand or the person's hand is how big the hole is. That's why they said when he put them in there, their skin had abrasions from being pushed inside of the little opening. And their hair got stuck. Their hair got stuck. It's just so beyond heartbreaking.
I want everybody to just come home. Like, wherever they're at, come home. That's what I want.
We don't see any grief whatsoever. We don't see anything in the grief muscle up here. It doesn't form at all. We see no sadness in the mouth. We see nothing that tells us he's sad that they're gone.
That the 15-year-old teen who unalived 5 of his 6 family members called 911 at the same time that a 911 call was coming in from the neighbor.
There is a little-known anomaly in the recording of murder statistics and suicide statistics every year, and that is something known as familicide. It's also sometimes referred to as familial annihilation. And this typically happens when a member of the family, 95% of the time, a man, decides to kill all or many of the members in his family at one time. It's an absolutely horrific experience, not only for the family, but for the community they live in. And it unfortunately occurs in this country more than you might think. Between 2000 and 2009, about 24 times per year. And statistics so far are showing that it's happening in this country possibly as often as once every 5 to 7 days. So if you take the recent episode in Shreveport, Louisiana, 7 of those children were his own kids.
8 children, 3 to 11 years old. Early yesterday morning, police were called for a domestic disturbance in a neighborhood south of downtown Shreveport. The shooter, they identified as Shamar Elkins, shot his wife, they say, at the first home, then drove to another house where they say he shot 7 children inside and 1 child on the roof, trying to escape, then shot and wounded a second woman.
32-year-old Jonathan Darden was head over heels with Malian. He would make remarks of wanting to love her till death or to afterlife. Comments like that were weird, but no one took it seriously. Jonathan loves taking pictures with Malian. He really loved her because he was getting some financial benefits from her. She never thought the man she was dating would be the source of a high-level tragedy to her family. Things started going south and Malian decided she was no more interested in the relationship, but Jonathan, who had promised to love her out of this life, had other plans. On December 9, 2024, while 43-year-old Malian Johnson, her grandchildren, Jadora Powell, 5, and Jontavius Powell, 1, and their mother Kaylin Samuels, 26, were home enjoying the day and preparing for the coming holiday, 32-year-old Jonathan Darden lost his cool when he was told to leave the premises. Malian was no more interested in the relationship. Jonathan could not let the love of his life move on, so he decided to teach her a lesson. He locked them all and killed her grandkids in front of her, and then proceeded to Crystal and then Malian herself. This was just to make sure she suffers through it all. He wanted her to see him kill what was the most important things to her. He made her beg for their lives. He would then permanently hurt himself too. Her daughter was worried and not hearing from her mother, so she finally decided to get the police to do a wellness check. After 5 days of them laying there dead, they were finally found.
The title of this prophecy that you're listening to is I Will Humble You, and I did say in the beginning that when I was done, you would understand why that is the title of the message. I'm writing this and the Lord begins to lay on my heart very strongly this place called Jakarta. Jakarta. It keeps coming to me, Jakarta. That's in Indonesia, Southeast Asia. He also lays upon my heart South Africa. He laid upon my heart Malaysia. So France, and then God mentioned the whole country of Indonesia, not just the city Jakarta, and also he mentioned India. India is without question the rape capital of the world. Indians gang rape 4-year-olds. When they find the 4-year-old, she's just a bloodied, torn, battered, dead mess. That's because one man is too much for a 4-year-old. One man is too much for a 9-year-old. But they rape them in a rape train, and then they leave their body by the well. Despite that famous international case that took place some years ago, almost 10 years ago, of that medical student, that was the first time I ever heard of mobile rape, where they trap you in the car, they trap you in the bus, and they drive around with you all night, raping you, like they did to that young woman. And she told her story. She revealed her name. She said they mustn't seal her case. They're big on privacy in India. Calling victims girl M, calling them victim J. No, that woman was like, no, don't do this. Maybe she could feel in her body that she was already dying, because she did die. They were not able to save her from what she suffered. All night rape.
22-year-old physiotherapy intern Jyoti Singh and her male friend Awindra Pratap Pandey spent a great night together watching the film Life of Pi in Munirka, a neighborhood in South Delhi. To return home, the two boarded a bus around 9:30 p.m. On the bus, there were 6 men, including the driver. Not long after they got on the bus, her male friend sensed something was off. The bus suddenly deviated from its normal route. He asked the driver where he was taking them, and that was when the group of 6 men already on board started threatening the two, questioning them about what they were doing alone at such a late hour. This escalated into a scuffle between Awindra and the 6 men. Awindra was severely beaten with an iron rod and was eventually knocked unconscious. Then the men suddenly turned their eyes to Jyoti, who was terrified, and took her to the back of the bus. The men mercilessly beat her with an iron rod and took turns sexually assaulting her. Medical reports later revealed that she was abused with a blunt object, most likely an iron rod, resulting in serious injuries to her abdomen, intestines, and genitals. According to police reports, Jyoti tried so hard to fight off the men, leaving bite marks on 3 of her attackers. This angered the men, and she was brutally attacked for her bravery. After they were done, the attackers threw the unconscious victims out of the moving bus. They were later found by a passerby around 11 p.m. The Delhi police were called, and the couple was immediately taken to Safdarjung Hospital, where Jyoti received emergency care and was placed on life support. Awindra suffered broken limbs from the attack, but survived. When the attack was revealed by the media, it sent shockwaves throughout the entire nation. Jyoti underwent multiple surgeries, but she was in critical condition. On December 27th, Jyoti suffered a cardiac arrest and never regained consciousness. On December 29, at around 5 in the morning, she was pronounced dead. Within a day of the horrific incident, Delhi police were able to arrest the suspects. They identified the charter bus through CCTV footage and found the driver, who turned out to be 30-year-old Ram Singh. With the help of the male victim, police were able to obtain sketches of the assailants. They also tracked down the mobile phones of the 2 victims, which were stolen by the attackers. 6 men were all caught.
She was taking a nap at the hospital while she was on call. The hospital didn't have any call rooms, so she was sleeping in a classroom. And that's where they found her the next morning. Her last diary entry before her shift, according to her father, was about her aspiration to be a top performer on her medical exams. Trigger warning here because I'm going to talk about the autopsy results. According to the autopsy, her thyroid cartilage, which is a cartilage right here in your neck, had been broken, which is a sign that she had been strangulated. She also had bruises in many parts of her body. There was apparently evidence that her eyes were bleeding for unclear reasons. And there was such severe damage to her genitalia that they called it signs of genital torture.
This Indian doctor that was still training and learning about chest medicine did a 36-hour shift in India and was raped and unalive. She had 150 milligrams of semen in her, enough for approximately 8 men. Bruised up, glass in her eye, blood in her eye, broken bones, pelvic broke and everything. She decided to take a nap in a seminar hall after her 36-hour shift. I don't know if she had another shift to go to. I don't know if she was just too tired just to drive home, but you should be able to take a nap, especially at the hospital that you work at. During the time she was taking a nap, I'm going to say his name, Sanjay Roy, came in the side door of the hospital wearing a Bluetooth device that was found at the scene of the crime. Came in, 40 minutes later, see him leaving out without the Bluetooth. Nobody heard her scream, nobody heard nothing, nobody decided to say, hey, I know she was taking a nap, she said, let me go check on her, nothing. Let me tell you why, because it's an inside job.
A 19-year-old student was kidnapped and raped by 23 men in 1 week. And there's a reason why people say that India is the rape capital of the world.
When rape is acceptable, lie down and enjoy it.
Jakarta, Indonesia, South Africa. I have been prophesying about South Africa for a very long time here. The comments that are underneath the South African videos are some of the most tragic. You can't do a video on something that God is warning about, and then you come back after one day and almost every comment says, it happened to me. This is evidence that something is not okay in that nation. It's not 10 people or 20. You can't come back and everyone is saying, it happened to me. It happened to my daughter. My daughter is now dead, actually. Prophetess Celestial. Oh, yes, my cousin was raped and there was no justice for her. The police laughed and they closed the case in 2 days. That's what the comments under the South African video about this issue is like.
In South Africa, every 12 minutes, someone is being raped. At the moment, as I'm standing here, it's likely happening again. Across the country, over 60 people are murdered every single day. You can do the maths about what the impact is that has on communities.
I was raped for 3 times, and this guy is still running around. And I don't think the SEPS is doing nothing.
It's been 9 months and still SEPS has done nothing to help me. So when I went to SEPS, I went to them and asked if they have any rape kits, and they told me they didn't have any available because they didn't have any stock in.
Girls? Some of us, yeah, some of us.
Do you know how many times you've done that? How many times have you raped girls?
I did it maybe 2 or 3 times.
I did it once.
We found that the province of the Eastern Cape, again, is the one that is the highest in terms of per capita rape, with 28 rapes per 100,000, and then the Free State is the second highest with 23 per 100,000, and the Northern Cape is at number 3 with 22 per 100,000, and the province of Gauteng is the least in terms of per capita rape of 12 per 100,000.
South Africa facing a growing wave of sexual violence against women. One survivor is seeking to change the legal definition for consent. We hear from her in an exclusive interview while she takes the case up with the Constitutional Court. Then the M23 militia has decided to vacate it as South Africa struggles with a wider rise in crime against women from all walks of life, with rapes up last year. 1 in 3 women in the country will be raped at least once in their lifetime. And now many are calling for law changes.
Now, as South Africa continues to observe Women's Month, rape continues to haunt the country. According to statistics, there are 115 women raped in South Africa every single day. Now, to unpack the country's rape culture and whether government is losing the fight against rape.
The controversial #MEnAreTrash campaign has thrashed the menfolk these past weeks over the shocking string of killings of female victims. The youngest was just 3 years old. While many men have condemned the blanket condemnation, saying it is unfair, those who are marching through the union buildings right there behind me now are saying they are taking a stand against the violence and the #Not in My Name.
I mean, as men, we are born by women. I'm a dad, I've got girls. Enough is enough. The message you're sending is that enough is enough. Stop killing our women.
While the march snaked through the streets of Pretoria to the union buildings, 3-year-old Courtney Peters was being buried, raped and murdered and dumped by her parents' lodger. Lerato Molloy's funeral was taking place in Soweto. Hers was among 4 female bodies found in one weekend in that area. 22-year-old Karabo Mokwena was buried the day before, murdered, dumped and burnt by her boyfriend of 7 months. It's a painfully long list.
They will make the display windows the most beautiful thing that women have ever seen. Every bag, shoe, dress, and trinket that a soul can desire will be in the window. But if you step in that shop, it is death. This is Nigeria. God is showing me this. Straight death for your body and your soul, and maybe even a permanent death from your injuries whereby you will not be able to recover. They are destroyers of virtue, wicked, demonic, possessed, and they will build shops that operate as bait and lures for women. Lures. It's what you put on the end of the fishing hook to get them to bite. Be healed, my daughters. Be healed of your lust for finery and pleasures. Be healed of the lust of the eyes, or your body will pay a penalty you never wanted to pay. This is my will for you, to stay safe. Turn your foot from the enchanter and his wares, and do not go into the adulterous man. Thus says the Lord. But also Uganda, Kenya, Nigeria, and Zambia that are also places that are not experiencing just rape. Not that you can ever say rape is just, but it's not just rape that they are experiencing, but it is the type of rape. Rape is to force someone against their will, and there has to be penetration, whether by the front or the back, in the sexual act. That is what it is legally defined as. Okay. Which part of rape says that you must stab the person 53 times afterwards? Which part is that? Which part says rape the person and then set their body on fire and burn them to lime and ashes? Which new rape is that? Which part says rape the woman and then hack her into pieces and then drop it all over the city? Even in America, they're doing that. What new rape is this whereby they are moving around in groups? Feral groups like wild dogs, like packs like wolves.
Government says justice will be served for a 12-year actor who was allegedly gang raped by 5 men on last year's Christmas Eve. And Mila Esako is local government area. The administrator, Office of the First Lady, Desli Anani, stated this when she went to visit the victim at the Daisy Hanili Danjuma Center.
The Ozoro Grape Festival in Africa, where women were chased through the streets, stripped from their clothes, and gang raped in public, only led to 15 arrests and no confirmed assaults. This lasted 7 days straight, and women were warned to stay indoors if they don't want to be raped, dress modestly, seek support, and any of the women that tried to speak out about this were threatened and silenced. So yeah, no formal reports have been made in connection with the festival, but there are literally hundreds of videos of men doing this to women, but regardless, police are rejecting those claims. And one of the people caught was literally a community leader who was the organizer of the event, who said this is all okay because it is tradition.
At what point of seeing a case that will shock and stun and terrify everybody, and then we settle back down into lethargy? We just settle back down. We foam like the sea. Can you imagine this? Can you imagine this? And then we settle back down. It is because for most people, which is what this policewoman was showing me in the dream, for most people, we do not actually want to grow our inner fortitude to the point that we can be like those cops on the loading dock. The cops on the loading dock are able to take it and take it and take it. They're able to investigate the trash of humanity for 30 to 35 to 40 years and then retire, having done their service to the community. But most people, they can only listen to 2 celestial prophecies and then they need to go and lay down and drink Robitussin and put a compress on their head. It's too much. I had to stop watching the video because it was too much. Really? So you stopped watching the video because it was too much, but I'm the one that's made out of concrete, bricks, iron, sheet metal, and mountain.
I just saw this woman post about this, and she was talking about how this woman was taken advantage of by her husband and all of his friends on her wedding day. Her wedding day. Her wedding day. In her wedding dress, still in her wedding makeup. What in the actual, world are we living in? There was this museum that had an exhibit and they were trying to bring awareness to SA, and the name of the exhibit was called "What Were You Wearing?" Just bringing awareness to what happens and that there's no blame.
I've spoken about, and you can watch that dream, that's called The Rise of Evil in Africa. Men moving around in packs, raping women. Group rape, gang rape, bait that leads victims into such situations, God was saying. Victims will be led into situations that will become so commonplace that there will be a risk of no sympathy. There will be the risk of losing sympathy due to how normal these group rapes will become. There's a lot of young women. You're young women, but you're growing up and you take pride in these little things that you should be understanding, but you don't have big sisters, aunts, or moms that want to talk to you. Or many of you are so hard-headed, so hard-hearted that when people want to give you advice, you don't. You'll be proudly on the internet. Most of my friends are guys. In that most of my friends are guys lies a future rape for you. Lies future cascades of tears. Because what you're basically saying when you say that is, I am incapable of female relationships. I am incapable of female bonding, and I'm so dense that I'm actually proud of that shortcoming in my life, that I can't make friends with women, that I have no girlfriends. Most of my friends are guys. The problem is that you're not a guy. And when things start to get swirled up by the spirit realm, you will represent easy sex. You will go to the usual hangouts, and when they're passing the blunt around, 2 hits, they will notice for the first time that you have breasts. And then it's curtains for you. Group rape, gang rape, men moving in packs using bait that he says will get the victim into that situation of going places where she's either outnumbered or places she previously felt comfortable, and then they turn on her. And God says men will wait in places not usually expected to be places where such violent acts can happen. Please guess what the 2 places he named: bridal showers and weddings. Bridal showers and weddings. The groomsmen are all waiting around at the back, and a random woman walks up. They're all waiting at the back for first reveal, first look, guys, last hug, whatever it is, and a random woman walks up as they're by the orchard, and it's far enough away. I don't think people understand just how fast a demon can wing it to a situation. I don't think that people understand how lightning fast movement is in the spirit. Because if they did, they would understand how mobs form. People say they're going for a protest. They're protesting. All of a sudden, many times, if you ask the riot police, they will say it was as if, madness descended on the crowd. That is the presence of demons. It comes upon those men. They're in their suits. They grab that woman, and 5 minutes is all it takes to ruin a human being's life. And then they all snap out of it, and they're looking at each other. What have we done? What have we done? How many American movies have you seen like that? And then the rest of the movie is about trying to cover up a person that they got too rough with, and then she died. He died. How many movies like that?
I hear about the groom that was arrested for SAing a wedding guest on his wedding night, y'all. Yeah, and if it sounds insane, it's because it actually is. His name is Zachary Prouty. He's 38 years old, and this happened in Pennsylvania. But like I always say, everybody thought that it was a normal day. Zachary was literally getting married. Like I said, this was his wedding day. Now, on your wedding day, you're supposed to be happy because that's a commitment. That's a choice. Why would you choose to get married and not be happy about it? The victim was staying overnight when all of the other guests ended up going to bed. She wasn't tired yet, so she still stayed up. You know, some people just stay up later than others. I know I'll be up all night half the time. First, she said it started off by Zachary kissing her without her consent on the couch. Then she said that Zachary followed her to another room and continued to do unwanted advances up until she lost consciousness. It sounds like this detail was not in there, but what it sounds like to me is that there was a little bit of, you know, adult juice involved in the situation and he took advantage of her. He woke up the next morning in an unfamiliar bedroom with all of her clothes on the floor. An SA exam later on found DNA that matched Zachary's. That's how it was confirmed that something happened.
He says places that you would not expect it. And he gave the bridal shower and he said bridal settings, which is weddings. But he also says other curated place where you would expect it to happen. This is parties. This is clubs. This is curated settings where people get together. You know, let's hang out. Let's have a barbecue. And then something goes down there. Something goes down. There's only 10 of you. And now you're all 10 with a horrible secret. The girl dies in the process of this infamous thing called the train. People are sick out there.
Yeah, truly shocking, as you say, but the police are stressing at the moment that this is very early into their investigation. They are searching for witnesses, they are searching for clues that could help find those responsible. The attack happened outside Epsom Methodist Church just over there, here on Ashley Road, in the very early hours of Saturday morning. As you say, a woman in her 20s raped by several men. Now, I've spoken to someone who lives nearby who was woken up that morning by the police response, by police dogs combing through people's gardens at around 4 a.m. Police say they suspect the woman was followed after leaving a nightclub, which actually is just 100 meters that way in the town centre.
Miami boys, 12 and 13, are being charged as adults for brutally raping a 12-year-old girl for half an hour. They even put rocks in her mouth so she wouldn't scream. On June 18, 2025, the 12-year-old girl was leaving her friend's house in Overtown around 10 p.m. That's when she saw 12-year-old Josiah Jones, 13-year-old Nelson Nenez, and two 15-year-old boys in the parking lot area. It's reported that Nelson grabbed the girl and took her to a couch within the Green Haven Project community garden as Josiah and the two other boys followed.
God is warning about rape mobs. I was speaking to the intercessors on the line. I said to them, ladies, have you applied your mind to what it means to be run down by a group of men? Have you applied your mind to the process of that? Like a deer or a rabbit being run down, or a fox in the British fox hunt. What will go through your mind and your heart that knows that you are not Florence Griffith Joyner and you can't run like that? Stronger men, faster men. The more you run, the more excited they get. They're happy. They're intent. It's a game. You're getting tired. You're running out of breath. You know that they will catch you. I was asking them. I said, I'm prophesying. Are you going back over the seeds that I'm planting? To ask yourself, is death not better than that? And yet you don't want to die. So then how to avoid that? To never be counted in the number of those who will. Keep going to parties, clubs, but now it's not just parties and clubs. Now you go to a wedding, you deserve to be at the wedding, but then you're coming away from the wedding and it's not the bouquet that you're coming away with. This is the challenge. Most people are not able to take, absorb, and stay switched on and stay ready all the time. Because the spirit inside them is not robust. They're not training the spirit. They're not working the spirit out in the gym. Prayer, fasting, the spirit is not getting a workout. So then you will listen to a few prophecies and then you experience very real internal fatigue. And once you hit your fatigue point, that's when I start to come and see nonsense in my comments. Don't you ever prophesy anything good? No, I don't. I'm an end time servant of the Lord. If you want to understand what the end times is about, read the book of Revelation. You find anything good in there, happy, that's before the end, before the actual end bit, let me know. I think there's just some happy people they're happy after death. In Revelation 14, when they were singing before the Lamb's throne, they had been made white. They were dead. No worries after that. You don't train your spirit to be able to deal with the hardship that's coming. You don't train your spirit to deal with the heinous things that are coming. Then you feel fatigued. You feel tired. Some of us are not tired. We're obeying what the Bible says. We're going from strength to strength. We're going from faith to faith. We're taking God seriously, what he said to Jeremiah. If you can't run with the footmen, if you can't run with the swift young men, how will you manage when the horses are running? I don't want anybody asking me anything when the horses are running, because when the horses are running, I plan to keep up with them, because the alternate, let me tell you what the outcome is if you can't keep up with the horses running. When the horses are running, have you seen Mustangs running? Have you seen wild horses running in the plain? They seem to have a connected mind. They're very wild, but at the same time, they're just moving. They're not stopping and saying, can you keep up? Should we slow down? That's not the energy that they bring. And what happens is if you can't keep up with them when they're running, then you're bound to fall, you're bound to trip, you're bound to stumble, and they will trample you. Sometimes God doesn't need to tell you things. Sometimes you just read the Bible verse. The Bible verse is in English. It's in your own language. You look at it and the understanding will come to you as you muse. What is he saying? If you can't run with men, how will you run with horses? And if you enter a time period where the situations, the circumstances, the things that happen to young men, young women, old women, Kenya, why are you raping 90-year-old women? What do you think God will do to you as a nation? Why are you raping 90-year-old women, 83-year-old men? Why are these people featuring in the press as people that are being raped by young men? Why are you raping a grandfather? And what do you think will happen? And then when I tell you that God will give you drought, dry up everything, and put you in hunger and starvation and famine, then you're upset and leaving commentary under the video. What do you think will happen to a nation that rapes the elderly? A person has lived their entire life, father children or mother children, has now reached the final end of the rainbow. They've passed the peak. They're no longer interested in sex. Then they wake up to find out that you have torn the door off their shack. 6 of you. These old people are dying of their injuries. What do you think has entered people except demons? This is not normal behavior. And that is why I said at the beginning that when the deep darkness comes to cover the people, and we see what humanity is capable of under the influence of deep darkness. You meet a man, he's normal. He takes you on a few dates. You actually are in a 6-7 month relationship. Everything is normal. Then he comes to pick you up as always, and his eyes are not right. Why are you still going on that date? At your big age, you don't know? You don't know when somebody's eyes are not right? You don't know when your gut is screaming, Marcia, do not enter that car. And you're thinking, but it's Todd. Todd is my boyfriend. Then that day is the day that Todd's eyes go black from corner to corner. And you come back a changed woman. You come back a changed woman. You, the best friend of Todd, he says, let's go for a drink. And he brings you home, or you make your way home at the end of that spiked drink night. You come back, you go for the boys' night, you wake up and everything back there is destroyed. You can never ask them which one of them did it. You don't know if it was one of them did it while you were out. You don't know if it was all of them did it. All you know is the friendship with Todd and the boys is over. But guess what? You are now carrying the scars of that. It will be very hard to navigate this kind of landscape, this kind of scenario. As you can see, I'm sitting and I'm just bringing up the scenarios as they occur to me, and there's no end to the scenario. Your father lives in the house. You have showered in that house until you're 19 years. He brought you up. He paid for your school fees. He bandaged your hurt knees. You have been to endless pool parties held in the front or the back of your own yard. Your friends have come over and swum 1,000 times. At 19 years, you swim and you come in the house in the bikini, and his eyes go black from edge to edge. His eyes look strange. They may not go fully black, but his eyes just look different. His face is not the face of a father as he's looking at you standing there dripping with water and going, oh, Dad, I feel so refreshed. Will you not, in that split second, read the room and take your tail to your room and lock yourself in there? Is it later at the police station? How long was the assailant known to you? All my life. This is what God is saying. Demonic activity is ramping up. There's no room for mistakes. There's no room for this nonsense of, but I thought. Let it be retired in 2024. But I thought. Stop but I thoughting and actually think, please. Women and men, think. Actually think, actively think, watchfully think, intelligently think. Don't do but I thought. But I thought it's actually assumptions. That's what but I thought is. It's not actual, I thought about it. No, but I thought is actually, I just assumed, which is why I'm now with a shock outcome. No one is blaming anyone here. I am telling you that a different gradation of mind response is required, or the horses will trample. The title of this prophecy is, I will humble you. Let no one hear the words of the Lord, the crying out of this trumpet in Zion, the warnings of the Lord that I am still patiently giving despite everything. Let no one hear these things and then say, we had no warning. I am Celestial, and this is the Master's voice. Until I see you again, God bless you and goodbye.